On today's show, we take your phone calls. This is the world's toughest podcast. Welcome to the world's toughest podcast, where we talk about any obstacle course race you'd like, as long as that's World's Toughest Mudder. Each week we talk to members of the WTM community and share stories of success and failure in the single greatest event in OCR. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the World's Toughest Podcast. World's Toughest is days away. This will probably be the last long episode before the race, but it's extra long for you. We'll have some more short episodes from Elite Week in the next couple days as well. Before we get to your phone calls, you can email me at willhicks@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter at TheWillHicks or on Instagram at WillHicks. You should check out my Instagram if you like accounts with 6 pictures. And one of them is my dog, Pepperoni. We call him Pepper. Pepper Hicks. This week we had the first ever call-in episode of World's Toughest Podcast. I took phone calls on Monday night from anyone who wanted to. They could call in and shoot the breeze about World's Toughest for a while. Usually when I do an interview, I do research beforehand. I have questions prepped. It's very structured. But this is the opposite of that. Some of the people you have heard from before on the podcast, and some of them were total strangers to me. So it's a good mix. I enjoyed it a lot. We've never done this kind of episode before. Can you do me a favor? I don't ask for much. After you listen to the episode, let me know what you think of it. Love it or hate it. Either way, let me know. willhicks@gmail.com or leave a review on iTunes. If you love it, don't email me. Put that up on iTunes. You can still email me. That's all right. willhicks@gmail.com. Or a review on iTunes. If the overall reaction is positive, we will probably do more of these next year. Speaking of which, before we get to your calls, let's read some iTunes reviews. This is by Sam is of Sam. Tons of great info. 5 stars. My husband and I have started training for our first events next year. Tough Mudder 5K, half, and full. And this podcast has been great motivation. I love the interviews, especially with the ladies. Girl power! Thank you, Sam. I appreciate the review. I'm not sure if I said girl power correctly, but you had several exclamation points there, so I wanted to do it justice. I appreciate the review. Sincerely. Very kind. If you'd like to be a part of the show, like Sam is of Sam, you can leave a review for the show also. Open the Purple Podcast app on your iPhone and search for Tough Mudder. We're the first one that pops up. Click our logo and then scroll down and click Write a Review. Guys, we are 7 reviews away from being the #1 reviewed OCR podcast on all of iTunes. I need 7 reviews by Friday before I see Matt B. Davis in Vegas. I would appreciate it. It's time to talk to you. Let's go to the phones.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Will Hicks.
How are you? Who's this?
This is Michael Stefano.
Hey, Mike Stefano.
How's it going?
So good, man. You have your own podcast about OCR and road running. I'm happy to hear from you.
That is correct, yes.
Do you want to put in a quick plug for your podcast?
Sure. It's M. Stefano Running, and we're a local team to the New England area. We're like the New England Spartans, only smaller and less successful.
I like how there are several OCR podcasts, like yours. It kind of covers the Northeast. Overcome and Run kind of covers the Southwest. Evan Perperis has his Strength and Speed podcast, kind of the Midwest races. They're in the middle of the country, covering the gamut there.
Yeah, definitely. It's great to hear from all parts of the country. It's funny, I actually got the times mixed up, and I kept calling, and my math was not right with the time zones, so that was a little embarrassing on my part.
Oh, no worries. I saw you called, and so, you are coming to World's Toughest, right?
Yes, sir.
and this is your first year at the event, and what are you going to do out here?
So I'm going to be pitting for my teammate Alex Youngworth, and we're both really excited for it, the last dance in the desert.
That's awesome. Has Alex run it before?
He has not. No, this is his first crazy endurance event, but he's always looking to push himself, and he's looking for an event to break him, and I think this might be it.
You know, one of the good things about World's Toughest is that, there's a lot of events that, like there's, the Agoge or a lot of the GoRuck events where you can go somewhere and someone will, metaphorically kick you in the teeth. But World's Toughest, it's up to you. Like, you can push yourself, you can try and get 100 miles, or you can say, you know what, I want to go for 24 hours. Like, you can set your goal anywhere in between, and it's up to you to push yourself as hard as you want to be pushed.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the most beautiful parts of that event. There's no real other event like that. In addition to that, I mean, the camaraderie with Tough Mudders, bar none. I've done, so many obstacle course races, and nothing's come ever close to Tough Mudder. And World's Toughest Mudder, the fact that, people competing for thousands of dollars but can still stop, lend a hand, it's incredible to me.
People talk about that. I remember last year I was coming up to Everest, and John Albin and Ryan Atkins had just run up. And as soon as they got up, they didn't even need any help. They just ran up the Everest 2.0. They turned around, dropped on their bellies, and helped up one or two guys right behind them. And those guys behind them, they were going to do 40, 50 miles maybe. But it's impressive. It's a real thing. People talk about that.
Yeah, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Real quick, while I have you on here too, I just wanted to thank you for keeping both myself and my teammate wicked pumped throughout the year for this Tough Mudder, because like you said on the Overcome and Run podcast, there wasn't a lot of people that maintained hype before you. So, super fortunate to have your show, and great year to have it with all the toughest and whatnot. So, yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Mike. I kind of got lucky. Like, I was planning on starting a podcast at the end of last year. I planned it at the end of last year, and then as I started it, like all these things, they started announcing. They didn't announce the toughest before, but then like tougher, and then everything. World's Toughest, the big push this year, and so I got kind of lucky that I started when I did.
Yeah, it definitely all fell into place for you, so that's excellent.
Well, cool. So, what are you looking forward to? It's your first year. What are you anticipating, or what are you planning on for this year?
Well, I'm planning on keeping my friend alive, so that's first and foremost. I'm excited. We're actually going to be joining up with the New England Spartans. I have a tent. They don't, so we're going to be pitting together. So I'm really excited to work with Sandy Ree and her husband, Vince. And I think they have another woman, Leah. So I'm looking forward to working with them and trying to help their goals come true.
Are you guys flying out or driving?
Flying. I'm from Massachusetts, so it'd be one hell of a drive.
Are you bringing Caitlin with you?
That's a great question. No, and it was her decision not to go. So I'm going to make that perfectly clear. But it's kind of a bummer because the day of World's Toughest Mudder is our anniversary. So.
Oh my!
Should be interesting.
So yep. Caitlin is your girlfriend.
Yes.
And this is November 11th, November 12th. Is your 1 year anniversary?
Yep, November 12th. It's our 5 year anniversary.
5 year. Oh my goodness.
Of dating. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I can hear the collective screams of all the women listening to telling you to lock that down, but
I know it.
Well, that's cool. She's a good sport about it, though.
Yeah, definitely. She knows how big this is, and it's definitely the biggest event I've ever gone to in obstacle course racing. I think the only other thing that I could really count is the Spartan Cruise that I went on a long time ago, but this is so much bigger than anything, so I'm wicked excited.
They're putting together a Tough Mudder cruise, kind of an unofficial thing next year. Some people a bunch of Tough Mudders are just getting on the cruise and going to go listen to Clinton Jackson do some stand-up comedy, but it's not as official as the Spartan Cruise was a few years ago.
Oh, wow.
So
that does sound interesting.
Well, cool. Well, Mike, I'm looking forward to meeting you out there, and
we'll talk. And we talked about, me coming on your podcast and doing something for you. But yeah, I look forward to meeting you and your teammate there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. And real quick, once again, bummed to hear of your injury, but I'm sure we're going to make the most of it this year.
Oh yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. It sucks. People talk about how great the community is, and one of the best parts of the race is the time in the pit, talking to other people. So I'm kind of, I'm not excited about not running, but I'm looking forward to, hanging out with more people and hanging out in the pit with no pressure to get back out there. So yeah, it'll be all right.
That's perfect. Awesome.
Well, cool. Well, Mike, thanks much, and I'll talk to you later.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Hello?
Hello. This is Will Hicks.
Hey, sir. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Who's this?
This is Alex from M. Stefano Running from Massachusetts.
Hey, Alex. I just talked to your buddy Mike.
Oh, he's the man.
So you are coming out for your first year this year.
Yes, sir. Very excited.
What do you think about the whole thing?
You know what? This is my first time doing something like this. I'm just going to go out there and have fun rather than being worried about my mileage, being worried about the cold, being worried about the 24 hours. Have fun. That's the mission.
You know what? Just participating, even everyone's like, oh, I want to last 24 hours. I want to get 50 miles. But even just showing up and, starting is a win. So, yeah, good
absolutely.
For you, man.
And not only that, actually, my secret and main goal is to give Amelia Boone the warmest hug.
She'll be out there.
That's all I need.
She'll be out there. Don't be creepy about it, though, but she'll be there.
That's all I need.
Well, cool. So what's your experience level? Have you done marathons, or what's your longest race up to this point?
I did a Cape Cod marathon here in Massachusetts. I did Andy Weinberg's Infinitus Marathon, and I've completed a few Spartan Sprints, Spartan Supers, Beasts, and even an Ultra Beast. So just stepping up my game a little bit.
Yeah. Once you hit that sixth lap, once you finish your 30 miles, that's the beginning of an ultra marathon. Anything over 26.2. So
absolutely, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
That'll be cool. Have you run Tough Mudders before?
Absolutely, yep. I think I'm on number 6, if I'm correct. Starting to lose count after a while.
Sure. So this will be your 7th Tough Mudder event?
Technically, yes. Awesome. My first World's Toughest Mudder, though. Pretty nervous.
So why did you decide to sign up for World's Toughest?
I think the main reason is because this event kind of just stared me in the face and says, you can't do this. And I just said right back, yes, I can. And I'll be there.
Mike said you are looking for an event that will break you.
We'll see what happens. This might be it. This might not be it.
The good thing about World's Toughest is that, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, part of World's Toughest is that when you feel like you're about to break, you can either, lean into it and see what you got, or you can, ease off the pedal a little bit and say, you know what? All right, let's back up and just focus on the fun.
Absolutely. It's just that the extra 10 steps that you think you can't do, step in a different realm.
Well, cool. So what's your preparation been like? How do you feel going in?
I feel okay. I would say if I would actually be worried about something is just the cold. I've never actually dealt with a race with that actually has a risk for hypothermia before. So I'll just see how I do. And there's a first time for everything. And this is it. So
do you have a wetsuit?
I have 2. Yes.
What's your plan for the wetsuit? Are you going to put it on right away or wait till you get cold? What's your thought there?
I think what I'm going to do as soon as I get the sensation of being a little bit too cold, it's wetsuit time. Because I don't want to lose too much body heat.
Something to think about is that might happen in the middle of a lap. And once you're out there...
That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
So as long as I can get to that finish of that lap, that's when it's time.
Have you had a chance to run in your wetsuit or wetsuits?
I have. I bought them about a week ago, and I've been trying it. I think I'll be fine. Not something I'm used to, but something that I can adapt to quickly.
Sure, yeah. They do kind of suck your energy. It's like having a really weak person trying to choke you. But, you need it. It's either that or get hypothermic and have to DNF. So
You got to choose one.
Have you heard about the bag trick for putting them on?
No, I have not.
Get a plastic bag from like Walmart or Target. Put it over your feet, over your, you're putting your right foot in your wetsuit. Put it over your right foot before you slide it in, and your leg will go in like butter. It's and then do the same thing for your hands.
Oh wow!
Just stick your hand in the bag and push it through.
I'll write that down.
Yeah, man, it's a good tip. Well, cool. Well, Alex, good luck out there. I'll look forward to seeing you.
Thank you so much. It'll be nice to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you, man. I'll see you out there. Do you want to pretend like you called me?
You mean like you have to say hello first?
Sure, here we go. Hello, this is Will.
Hey, Will. Matt B. Davis from Atlanta, Georgia, home of 2018 World's Toughest Mudder.
Matt B. Davis, how are you?
I'm well. That's unofficial, by the way. I don't want people to think that it's officially been decided. And Matt B. Davis from OCR Media, as they like to call me, said it was Vegas, or said it was Atlanta.
Matt, you have a big shindig this weekend, don't you? You're big time now.
I am big time, and it appears to keep getting bigger. So we initially were going to do like 4 hours in the morning, and then 4 hours the next day, like as it was ending. And then this weekend they told me 11 hours. They said, you're going to really like this. This is going to be breaking news right here. They said on from like 11 to 2 or 3. And then you ready for this? Midnight special from the cliff.
Oh,
like
nice.
Putting putting the desk up there, right? How awesome would that be, right?
That'll be great. So you're starting at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning, going till 2 or 3.
It appears that it might be 10, but then again, and then back on, for the finish in a couple hours afterwards. And so when people were asking what time does the cliff open, I thought, ooh, this might be my inside info that the cliff opens at midnight again with this live coverage, which would be fucking spectacular. However, that could change. So just saying, when are you airing this, tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, that could change. It's not official. They might not get the desk up by the cliff. It might just be an hour. They're definitely doing some sort of midnight special. I know that. May or may not be from the cliff. And then 6 more hours in the morning. Basically, I'm going to be on the air for like a gazillion hours. So I'm sure they have breaks filled in there somewhere. Initially I'd thought a few hours on and a few hours on again in the morning makes my job doubly good because I can do some great ORM coverage in the meantime. Now, I don't know if I'm going to have any time to do ORM coverage, so I have to trust my team to do excellent ORM coverage because I definitely want people to still, they're only going to have the cameras where they have them, right? I'm only going to be able to cover what I can cover. I don't know what drones flying at night means. I have no idea what we're going to fucking see. I know it'll be super cool, but yeah. So watch Facebook Live with Tough Mudder. Watch me. You can also watch those other channels, but they won't be as good.
Do you want to plug your ORM channels? What's the? I know you do a lot of Instagram story stuff.
We kill it on the Instagram stories. The Facebook Lives are good as well. Anybody who listens to this is probably already a fan of all those things, but I guess there's some people who couldn't be, right? Just type in Obstacle Racing Media. I mean, we actually have a link that actually has all of our live coverage links. If you Google Obstacle Racing Media live coverage, that'll pop up. I know that.
So this is your 4th broadcast with Tough Mudder, is that right?
In life or?
Well, like this year, like in the last month and a half, 2 months.
Oh, I thought you meant like number of worlds. No, there was Tri-State, Carolina, SoCal, Vegas. Yes, this is the 5th.
That's cool. So what do you think about the competition? Who do you think is going to win for the men?
I was just putting a little email together because, they count on me for that kind of thing to know all the names and whatnot and who's a contender. No pun intended. Coming through. So I want to say Chris Mendoza, just so you can put his name, just so you can do the music. And I forced you to do it, and I'm going to say it again. Chris Mendoza, you better do it both times. But let's just look at the fly off the top of one's head, right? Atkins. So this is, by the way, any one of these guys could be podium and or 100 miles. That's what I'm going to say, right?
Okay.
So we can get to the 110 later. But Atkins, Albin, Killian, Trevor Sykos. I just wrote these names down. Of course, now I'm forgetting them. I think Evan could get 100 miles and could sneak on the podium. It's another guy who usually gets some pretty high mileage but hasn't made the podium yet. Who's the other one?
Now, Evan for Paris is running in a 2-man team with Wesley Kerr.
Oh, damn it. All right, well, that throws that out. Thank you. See, you know more than I do. I used to be the person that knew the most about all things World's Toughest Mudder. I've been eclipsed by the great Will Hicks.
You have a lot of other. You have a lot. I don't worry about Spartan at all. So you have to worry about that too.
Right. I mean, you do a podcast about any race you want to talk about, as long as it's World's Toughest Mudder or 8 Hour Toughest or tougher.
That's a much longer tagline though, so it didn't quite fit.
What about the 5K? Will you ever talk about the 5K? I
did talk about the 5K. I did a whole episode on it like 4 months ago. Yeah.
Who'd you get for that one?
Jay Ruggiero. He was running it that weekend in Nashville.
Good community member, Jay Ruggiero. We used to have to count on Piss and Cox for this kind of thing. Nope, they're Dunskies. Where have they been?
I don't know. Josh isn't running this year.
I did know that. All right, let's back up. So if no Evan Preparis, who, by the way, he's still going to fucking appreciate his name. I won't mention his crappy podcast, but I'll mention his name. I was literally just writing these. All right, so go ahead and tell me the other guys so that I can agree with you.
Well, the big 7. There's the 7 guys who ran 100 miles last year.
Right.
Only 4 of them are running in the individual, and you mentioned all 4 of those: Albin, Atkins, Killian, and Trevor Sykos. The other 3 are all running in the team category, which you can talk about in a minute too. But so of those 4, I pretty much figure 3 of those 4 are going to be on the podium.
Oh,
go ahead.
I just walked into a tree. Can you believe that?
Yes, I can. One of them, just for the heck of it, if it were to happen, he wouldn't be on the podium. But good old Maltby, good old TMHQ employee Chris Maltby, could maybe tap 100. He did. I think he finished in 6th place last year with like 90 miles. I don't have that in front of me.
He's 5th or 6th every year, but he's an employee, so he can't win anything.
Yeah, he was at my brunch table last year, and my dad was super impressed with him. He's like, "Oh my gosh, you work for TMHQ," and he was like a celebrity at our table last year at brunch. There's also guys like Tyler Nash, who hasn't broken 100 miles, but he got 50 in Chicago at the toughest in the 8-hour race. Matt Lister got 50 at a.
Oh, what about? So did we mention Matt Hansen? Is he team or individual?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know that.
All right, let's reach out to Matt Hansen. I'm going to put him in there in the 100 club. He's got to be individual. He's been hunting that podium for a long time. He could be this year's Mendoza, first time on the podium kind of situation.
Sure.
Let's put him in there. I'm really mad that Evan's not doing it. But who's he running with? Do you know?
Wesley Kerr.
Oh, there goes Wes too. Is another possible 100-miler. All right, there go those guys. I think did they list either of those guys in the ones to watch? I know Mudder put out their own poll.
They put Wesley in a ones to watch for, I think, Toughest Mudder LA. Evan Preparis. Evan was on the TV show recently.
So here's what I've got: Albin, Atkins, Killian, Hansen, Azar, Sykos.
Austin is in the team category.
Austin now is in the team category, so he goes down there. And he's running with who? We don't know.
He's running with Mark Jones, Chris Mendoza, and Miguel Medina.
He's not though. So there we go. That fixes that, because remember, that's the Continent team, which they approved, then unapproved, and now I think they approved again.
So it's back on, you think, or back off?
I think he's back to an individual. Wait a minute. Oh shit. I guess if it's back on, I don't know. I guess he goes back to the team category. Damn it. All right. Well, I guess this is what they wanted. They wanted good people in all categories, right? But really the team one is that's the only 2 teams?
There's 2 teams. There's Chad Trammell's team and there's Chris Mendoza's team. I mean, there's like 16 teams, but there's 2 teams that are, and then, you know what? There's Germany though. Let's talk about teams then. There's also Germany, which always has a strong contention coming over. I don't know if there is a Team Australia this year. Australia finished second in 2014 with Deanna Blagg, and they finished second to Hunter McIntyre's
well,
team.
she's running individual. We know that.
But
Deanna,
essentially, I think the four-man team is going to come down to Christopher Mendoza and his team, or Chad Trammell and his team.
Right. But see, that's what I was thinking. Every time people said Killian was running alone, I said, no, he's not. I was thinking of Trammell. Trammell was running on a team with Woodsy and who are the guys they're running with?
Brian Gawiski.
You should know. Brian Gawiski, a.k.a. Ron Linsky.
I'm trying to remember the fourth guy. This is terrible. Hang on, I got it right here in front of me. Glenn Race.
Glenn Race. Glenn, unfortunately, well, actually, Race or Gawiski, if they haven't done WTM, they're both they're risking a lot, Trammell and Woodsy. I'm surprised they're not doing it themselves. But then again, the money was on the four-man, right? That's why the whole four-man thing happened.
Yeah, they're putting. I mean, I don't think they can finish worse than third.
Yeah, you can if you lose any one of those guys early on.
Yeah, but you know what? They can kick them out.
Remember the year Wolfpack didn't win because Isaiah held them way back?
I do, but this is the relay thing. If someone turns an ankle, they can sit in the pit for 20 hours and then come out for the last lap. As long as it doesn't come down to the last lap, we'll see. I mean,
glad we're having this call. You're educating me a great deal.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
I see. Honestly, there's so much going on, all over the place, that I literally can't keep up. So typically, I do listen to your podcast, Will. You can put this in your under your they have quotes from the Huffington Post. The podcast I listen to get all my World's Toughest information is the Will Hicks podcast, Nappy Davis ORM podcast.
I will tell my friends,
because I literally can't keep up, and then I'll listen to your show and be like, okay, because all the fucking things that change, right?
Oh yeah,
the contender not a contender thing, the what time shit opens thing. Did you see the new pits things? That's super interesting. 8 a.m. it opens now.
As far as loading in, you can load your gear into the pit. Yeah.
But it used to be not until I think 10, right?
Yeah. Well, it depends on the day. I think Friday morning, honestly, I'm going to read this on my way up there. But
most people do.
Yeah. You can, depending on what category you're in, four-man team, elite contender, or contender, you get an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours early access to the pit. But you're right; it's earlier this year than it's ever been before.
Right, so which means we're going to line up at 6.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. There's a lot of queuing up at World's Toughest the first day.
Well, I mean, even Ryan Atkins found me last year on Saturday. I see the big long line, right, queuing up, and I kind of make my way to the front because I'm Nappy Davis and don't want to stand in line. And Ryan's like, "Can we just come with you?" I'm like, "Dude, you don't have you have more pull than me. Fucking get in line." He's like, "Well, I don't want to be a dick." It's like, "Oh, okay, so I could be a dick, and you can just be like, oh, I was with Matt." So anyway, that's early. I think it should be. I don't know why 2 hour gaps. It's not going to take that much time to. I don't know. Whatever.
What do you think about the elite women?
Oh, I'm plugging my damn headset. So. I was going to say men's and women's are equally as exciting to watch, but the men, we know those top two, barring get hurt, are going to be an exciting thing to watch. The other men are fighting for the podium. I think the women that we're about to talk about could all, any one of them could win, right?
Yeah.
So Deanna could win. Lindsay could win. Stephanie could win. Who are the other two ones that have been Morgan could win. Chikorita could win. Any 5 fighting for 3 spots. That's 5 women or 6 women?
I didn't count.
Everybody keeps mentioning Suzanne. I don't know much about her. I know she won the UK one by a lot, but I don't know how she fares against. Has she? You of all people would know this. Has she raced against anybody else in the women's field?
Yes, she raced last year and got second place.
Right. Okay. Right.
She got 80 miles and she finished 6 minutes in front of Morgan Mackay.
Okay, well then there you go. Then that's 7 women that can make the podium.
Yeah, no, you're right. Did you mention Allison Ty? Any one of them?
Oh, Allison! Forgot about Allison. Maybe April D finally breaks through and doesn't blow up and has a great year and makes the podium. I mean, the women's race is going to be better than the men's race to watch. There, I said it. Mark it down.
I'm really happy they're doing it live, like the live coverage. The first year I really followed World's Toughest Mudder was 2014, and the only coverage I could get was like kind of, I think it was your random tweets and refreshing the timing mat stats, like the results page, you know? And that was, it's like watching a spreadsheet and then kind of like extrapolating in your head what's going on out there.
Right. So I'm going to go ahead and warn everybody right now. Go ahead. The team that puts together those stats we've seen this year, which you personally said was the greatest sorting machine and all that, like, you can't fight nature, okay? You can't fight the fucking ghost in the machine. So as great as that technology is, at some point, it's going to be off. So don't lose your fucking minds, people, because every fucking year I get tweets and texts. What happened to Ryan? Is he dead? You know what I mean? Because the fucking thing will go off for 10 minutes or an hour, right? So it's like, give everything at least an hour, you know what I mean, before you lose your mind. Before you message me anyway, like you can message the page, like post on the group. Does anybody know what happened to Ryan? And somebody like, yeah, the feed went down, but I just saw him and he looks good, right? But people tend to lose their minds, and it won't be the technologies because they made bad technology. It'll just because shit happens. Fucking power runs out, or a generator blows, or who the fuck knows. In Vegas and in SoCal, this is no lie, animals ate through cable. Like they lay out all the cable the night before for cameras,
right,
for the Facebook stuff, and animals have eaten through cable. So the point is, don't lose your minds. It'll be great. So the combination, okay, if I'm you, right, I'm following Facebook, I'm following an ORM, and dare I say it, I'm following Mud Run Guy, all right? I would shuffle through those three. Okay, look at me, show them what a big person I am. Shuffle through those three, and you'll have everything you need to know. Short of, hey, has anyone seen my cousin? Which, again, people have done to me. And just so you know, this is the edict I give any of my staff while they're running a channel at an event like this. I said, you're going to get either personally messaged or commented on. They're going to ask you for a specific person. And it's totally within your right to ignore it or take care of it, right? Sometimes it works out great. You will Hicks go, hey, Morgan drops out of the lead. How's Morgan doing, right? And I can say, I just saw her, and this is what happened. Or my dad is running. We're all dying to know how he's doing. And I'll walk over and take a picture of that guy because he just happens to be next to me, right? And then people love you forever, right? Or you can fucking ignore it because you're too busy. Like, so sure, you can try, but it doesn't mean we can do it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Because that stuff happens, like, it literally happens every year. I mean, listen, on Saturday, I saw somebody tagged me because somebody lost a frog skin, right? And I looked at it, I read it really quickly, and the first thing I thought is, I don't have fucking time to do this. I'm getting out of here. Like, where's my car? And then somebody else was talking to me and blah, 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 and I looked again, and it said, buy the men's changing tent. And I thought, well, the men's changing tent is on my way to where my car is. So I went and looked for it, and there you go. Everybody thinks I'm great. I'm not that great. Anybody would do it. It's fine. But the point is, if you catch me at the right time, I can give you the information you're looking for.
I saw that happen. So this guy, he had ran the tougher wave in the morning, and he left his expensive frog skin that you have to order from Australia to get, that he's going to use. He's counting on it to run World's Toughest Mudder a week from now, and he forgot it. He left it, and he kind of gets on Facebook, kind of desperately, like, somebody help me, please. And you, who just finished broadcasting for 4 hours, went and found it for him.
Yes, because, again, I happened to, if it was not near my car, it would not have happened because I am far too busy and important. But it happened to be literally the way the changing stations were set up. Dude, this was awesome because even with a parking pass, I don't always get everything I want because, security acts the way they act. But in this particular venue, you could park literally like on site, do you know that venue? Have you been to that venue?
The Lake Elsinore baseball stadium?
Yes.
Yes. It's on concrete. It's the best parking of any Tough Mudder I've ever been to.
Right. So as close as you park to Lake Elsinore, imagine being able to pull on essentially like behind the changing tents, like literally on concrete, best thing ever. So as, God and the universe lined up, but what's weird when you think about that? You think, oh my God, like if Matt hadn't parked there, I would have had it. So, like, that's great. But, like, why would God make you lose stuff in the first place, right?
Maybe so you could have the opportunity to be a good Samaritan. Sometimes bad things happen to us, and it's not about you. It's about the other people. It's tough to hear, like, oh, this terrible thing happened to me. It's not always about you. Like, maybe you need to encourage somebody else, or maybe someone else needs to come out of their comfort zone and help you out. So, yeah, stuff happens.
Well, seriously. So all kidding aside, he said, I'm crying right now not because of the frog team, but because of the community. And I said, listen, that, I have literally needed a ride, money, a floor to sleep on, certainly gear that I've lost. So yeah, I'm totally happy to pay it forward, and he'll do that for somebody else, right? So that really is how we do, right? That's just how we do. Someone posts, someone else goes, I can't do that, but let me tag someone who might, and then usually stuff happens.
That's cool. I've always said
whether it's any one of those things that I just mentioned, right?
I've always said the community, the World's Toughest Mudder community, is the second best thing about OCR. So,
what's the first best thing?
Sweet bibs.
I thought you were going to say looking at like hot butts.
There's butts everywhere. That's not exclusive to Tough Mudder.
Will Hicks says there's butts everywhere. Do you need to stay focused? I don't know how many minutes I can take because I know you're going to try to take a lot of calls.
You basically are your own episode right now. So whatever you want to talk about. You think Battle Frog's coming back?
You think Battle Frog's coming back is the new, so else do you want to talk about? I think it's a better question, right?
So we should explain. So you have your own podcast, I have my podcast, and we both listen to each other's podcasts. And every once in a while, like every, 4 or 5 or 6 weeks, like we'll both put in a private joke that literally one person in the world will get. And that's you or that's me.
That's correct.
And the Battle Frog coming back is one of those jokes.
People love it. It's it's a gem. So I want to ask you, has it settled in about the not running, or do you think when you get there and everybody's in the start corral, you're going to cry?
Oh, geez. I in the nutrition episode that we're talking on Monday, this morning, I put up a new episode on nutrition, and I talked about it for like 10 minutes probably. It sucks, man. It sucks. Like, I haven't had like a full-on cry about it yet, but I'm sure it's coming. Like, I had just talked to Amelia Boone, and she's obviously in an entirely different category, but I in a small way, I kind of see what she's feeling.
But I think things happen the way they happen. I think, didn't Allison DNF a couple years ago?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, it just happens. As this thing goes on, we try to remember, each year and what was special about that year, and the years that you're hurt. It's like, listen, I had to have 2014 to get my 50 in 2016. I had to have that DNF to push me through.
Yeah.
And that just had to happen. I don't think it would have happened otherwise, because I'm going to keep fucking moving no matter what, because I already fucking fucked up this thing once.
Yeah.
was big time.
Yeah. So it sucks right now. I'm sure looking back on it, I'll have, some good story to tell about it. It'll make 2018 that much better, I'm sure. But like right now, when you're right in it, it's not fun.
Are you gonna call next year season 2?
Oh, of my podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you seen the new things iTunes doing with they want you to put season and episodes?
Well, I did. I saw that when I downloaded your podcast to the new app, it shows me the trailer first, which I always gave people a hard time for doing the trailer. But I think it does make sense now, right?
Yeah.
A little chance for people to give you a little preview, and then you can break it up into seasons.
You know what I'm thinking about? I haven't really talked about this. I just uploaded, I think, my 47th episode, plus like those bonus episodes. And that's just, man, this isn't my job. That's a lot of content. I don't know. The Piss Cox had the same thing. Like they were every week their first year, and then they were like 13 episodes their second year. So I don't know. I don't know if I can continue this pace or not. You do it every week, and I respect that a lot.
Yeah, but I also think the reason Piss and Cox couldn't keep it up necessarily is because it's sort of a different focus, right? Like theirs is more sort of this funsy, like it's literally just about one page, whereas you're covering. Yes, you got sort of lucky in that this was the year they announced all these other shows, and it would have been a little harder to do 40 episodes just about one thing. But now that this is broken up, like you'll have, you got at least 6 toughest events to talk about, and then leading up to those and doing after those. And I think you'll be fine. Maybe you'll skip some weeks, but it won't feel like a grind. Like I bet when you started, you were like, oh man, I have to get ahead of this thing. And then eventually you had like, oh, this event happened. I got 3 people from this event. Talking to the podium of like an entire event is awesome. Even if you just did 1 or 2 of those people from each event, it would be really good.
Yeah, those are the episodes I got the best reaction from. Was the right after a Toughest Mudder when I talked to as many people from the podium as I could get a hold of. Those people like those.
Yeah, man, I can tell you that my finish line ones, people love those. They really love hearing from a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Anything else you want to talk about?
I want to say congrats on your consistency, dude. It has been an exciting year. I've not listened to every episode. I'd be lying if I said I did. But I listen to some, and I definitely listen when you ask me to talk about it. I do listen at the Ann Carolyn Clifford preferred speed of 1.5. So when you say,
what is that like?
It's the only way to go once you do it. Like the only way to go. So if I'm on a run, right, I can listen to 2 podcasts because it's 1.5 speed.
So like a 60-minute podcast takes 40 minutes to listen to.
Exactly.
Huh.
And so when you do play Christopher Mendoza, when that part comes on, it's kind of funny because it's clearly really fast.
Right.
But like I'm just used to once you do it and then you go back to 1 in the middle of it, it sounds like you're talking like this.
Is it weird talking to me at regular speed right now?
No, because we've talked so much. Like it's not, we talk on the phone a lot. You seem to be available at super weird hours. No one knows what you do for a living, but you seem to me like a super rich person. So I just let it go. I've asked you a few times. You've told me. I still don't remember. But like, it'll be 7 a.m. my time, and I'll text you thinking you'll text when you get up, and then you'll fucking text me back. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Do you think? I know you're not doing this for the money, but do you think you would like ever try to get advertising other than great shoes from Merrell?
You know what I don't want to do is I don't want to like hunt down the advertisers. Like I had a couple of people approach me this year, and I was like, yeah, I'm not really doing now Merrell. I approached Merrell, and they were like they're just great, just amazing. I mean, they're just amazing. But as far like people, I had a couple people approach me. They're like, hey, and I was like, yeah, I'm not really doing that. It's not really our jam. But I'd be open to it. I'd have to build a whole system around it. I couldn't. I mean, you have to have like you have the Instagram and the website and the this and the that, and that's a lot. I really do this because I enjoy it. It's not a job. You're right. So
I do think that you could possibly do what you already do, though. Like if you didn't change, if you go, look, this is what you get for advertising with me. You get a Facebook post. I mean, you get. I have a Facebook page and I don't have these other things. So just so you know, that's what you're getting.
Right.
As long as then you're not putting in additional info into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think we are in an age where you can get away with simply having a Facebook page. I mean, if I'm starting a business, like okay, here's a good example. I have another podcast, the Atlanta Podcast. I don't even have a Facebook page for it. I have a website, but like people will be like, why do you have a Facebook page? Social media is smart. I'm like, dude, I just know I don't have time.
Mm-hmm. So
I plug the website and I plug the podcast through my own Instagram page, and maybe one day I will. But anyway, the point is, you wouldn't have to kill yourself more. You would just, whoever approached you, you could say, and whatever magical figures you come up with, this is what you get. You get mentions on the Facebook page, and I'll mention you in the episode.
Yeah, the only problem is that like Merrell has been a perfect like partnership for me because this sounds like corporate speak because I wear those shoes. Like I had the All Out Crush. I ran 2016 in the All Out Crushes, which is a terrible mistake. Like those shoes are not designed for running that many miles. But I own.
That's what Sue told me, by the way, as well. But go ahead.
But yeah. So and then when I talked to Merrell, I was thinking like, okay, let's go out some All Out Crushes or the the other 2 Tough Mudder shoes they had this year. And Sue's like, hey, what about these ones? The Agility Peak Flex. And I'm like, yeah, great. So I bought a pair on Amazon. And I was like, oh my gosh, these are amazing. Like, I wish I had known about these before. Like, I got more out of that Merrell deal than anybody else did because I found out about those shoes.
Well, I can tell you that I always say, like, I'll take sponsorship from pretty much anyone minus the Nazi Party. I mean, it really, like, at this point, like, that's how I pay the bills, and people can distinguish one from the other or not. I mean, like, I remember when the hostage run came around. You remember them?
Yeah. That was kind of, that was like they put bags over your head and stuff.
Right. So they messaged me, and I emailed some friends on Facebook. It was like, hey, do you guys think I should take their money? Because this race clearly isn't going to happen. And they were like, Matt, we would be upset with you if you didn't take their money. I was like, okay. So, all right. I took, whatever I took from them, and they never made it. Surprise. That
seems about as good idea as the Muddy Mortal race.
Well, let's not get started there. The Muddy Mortal was a good idea if they delivered on the product.
Too funny. I was trying to explain to my wife the 5-year plan with Battle Frog, like why this is so funny. Like, oh no, it's hilarious. Like I've got a 5-year plan. Ha ha ha. And she's like, no, wait, what? And I'm like, okay. It's a very long story to explain that very short joke. Which, and if people don't, I can't explain it even right now. So it's kind of an inside joke if you don't get it. Sorry.
Well, thanks for making time for me, dude. I'm glad to be on this episode, which I will listen to because I'm dying to see who's up from 9 to midnight on the West Coast.
Yeah, it's not ideal time. We're gonna see what else we get. So cool. Well, Matt B. Davis, ObstacleRacingMedia.com. Thanks for calling.
Hello,
Melissa Dugan. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
So good. We haven't talked on the podcast in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I think
since me and Jim were fighting.
I was going to say, I think which toughest was the toughest was the last time we talked on air.
Yeah, I think so.
So how are you doing?
Oh, I'm exhausted. I just landed in Vegas. So I am now doing my meal prepping for the week. I'm at the grocery store.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
What's your meal schedule look like the last week before Worlds?
No alcohol, no bad food, trying to be good. Hydrating like a mother. That's the biggest thing. Super, super hydration. And just trying to eat, on a regular schedule. And traveling makes everything a little more difficult. So, that's what everyone has to keep in mind. Sleeping and eating right, even though you're traveling, can be hard.
Are you going to get some of that Walmart sushi?
No, I will not be eating any sushi this trip. Not until after. I will not make that mistake again. That is not going to happen. I will never let that happen again.
That was before Toughest Mudder Whistler. You had some bad Walmart sushi right before the race.
Oh, yeah, sure did. That was fun.
You're in town pretty early. We're talking on Monday night.
Yes, I have an office out here. So I've been traveling frequently to Vegas for 4 years.
Oh, that's nice. The company can help.
So I have to work.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is a work trip.
It is a work trip. I just happen to be having some fun on the weekend while I'm here.
As most of us do in Vegas. So what do you think about this year?
I'm super excited. I'm really, they've just released the amount of penalty miles on the map today, which everyone, including myself, is freaking out about because, that's over half, 2.58. Over half of the entire loop could be, you could be doing more than 50% penalty if you have to take all of them. So that's significant. That's huge. And, it's just going to really separate the people that can continue to complete obstacles and where those long obstacle or the penalty is going to be. The cliff, obviously. I think anything electric. I have a feeling there's going to be at least one, if not two, electric obstacles on course this year. There will be the option for a penalty, but kind of like in Chicago, is it going to be a mile-long penalty if you don't take the electric? And I have pretty much vowed I'll never do electric again, but if the penalty is more than half a mile or maybe more than a quarter mile, I think I might do the electric as much as I don't want to do it.
So there are 10 penalty obstacles. There's 21 obstacles total per lap. 10 of them have a penalty option. And if you fail all of those 10 obstacles, you have to do 2.5-ish miles of penalty per lap.
Okay, I didn't realize it was 10. So that's not bad. I mean, the majority of us are not going to fail 10, I'm thinking the big ones that are going to be failed over time are going to be a Kong-like thing or Funky Monkey. It said Revolution 2, which is the easier one. So we'll see.
I'm looking at the map right now. It says Funky Monkey 2.0. That is not the same as Funky Monkey Revolution.
Oh, you're right. So wait a minute. That's the trapeze one.
That's the one that they had last year and the previous 2 years before 2017.
Okay.
Now that's
okay. Well, no. Last year they had the Revolution at World.
Well, you're right. I mean, as far as the full year of Tough Mudder, they introduced it last year, and this has been the first full year of Revolution.
Okay. Well, still, we're going to be failing that because it's long after so many hours. It's going to be difficult.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I think those are the only ones that the majority are going to be failing over time. I think all the other ones might be like the Liberator types, the electric type stuff, which a lot of those like Liberator or Backstab or things like that, if you get help, you can get over those without having to take a penalty. I think a lot of people try to do it.
The last 2 years, Liberator/Backstabber has been a must complete.
Oh, you're right. That's a must complete. Well,
so
even more so.
Which caused,
you need to get over with help.
No end of grief. So I guess if you can do the cliff, that probably knocks out, close to a mile of those penalties that you'd have to do. And if you do electricity, that probably does another, 3/4 of a mile. I'd imagine that.
Yeah.
I don't know. As long as you can do those two, I think, then you shouldn't be able to knock out most of the penalties.
Yeah. Well, and last year I took the penalty for the cliff all but one time because the one time I did it, I almost knocked myself out.
You're kidding? What happened?
I talked about it in your very first episode that I was on, and the guy didn't let me walk off. He made me go to the end and pause, which caused me to look down. And when I jumped, my head went first because I was looking, so my upper body followed, and I landed on my chest. And I almost got knocked out, and it scared me. Like, I almost cried getting out of that. Yeah. And so I was like, I'm not doing it again. And I didn't. I took the penalty every time, which was long, but I didn't care.
It was a long penalty last year. You're right.
Yeah, but it shook me. So I'm ready to do it this year, though. I'm ready. Last time, I'm just going to do it.
You're going to do it every time through doing the cliff.
Every time, every single time.
So you kind of mentioned your technique for getting over the cliff. You step back. You stay back from the edge. You don't actually walk up to the edge.
Oh, yeah. No. Stand all the way to the back. Have the volunteer tell you when you're clear. I put my arms across my chest, and I look straight forward, and I just walk until there is no ground anymore, and then you just fall. That is just the easiest way I've found to do it. And just have some kind of mantra or something in your head. And that's what I had to do in 2015. And I knew that I needed every last minute that I had to finish with 50 miles, which I only had 7 minutes to spare when I finished. And that was my motivation every single time I jumped. I never hesitated because I knew I needed it every single second. And my mantra was, my goals are greater than my fears. That's what I said in 2015 over and over and over. So.
Yeah, especially as a first timer, you're tempted to walk up to the edge of the platform and look down just to see, wow, how high am I? But don't do it. Don't do it. Stay back 10 feet.
yeah, I don't suggest it either.
And you know what? If the volunteer tells you, oh, you have to walk up to the edge, I would just be like, okay, I need a minute. I would step back, like let him forget about you, and then go find a different volunteer, like go to a different lane. Because you're right. That is the only way to do it, is you have to stay back and just walk forward, like you're walking off a plank on a pirate ship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't hesitate. It's so hard not to, because that one time I was able to just jump off with no problem all in 2015. The one time I had to stop, it freaked me out. I was pacing back and forth, and I was freaking myself out.
And there's already so many other things messing with your head. Like, you don't need one more thing. So,
yeah, very true. Very true. So you're going to be doing media and pitting, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm not super excited about not running, but I am excited about getting, one of the best parts of World's Toughest is the pit and the community. And so I'm looking forward to getting to do that for the full 24. So it's not my first choice, but it's not going to be bad. So
No, you'll still have a great time. Absolutely.
So what do you think about the elite competition this year?
I'm really, really bummed Amelia's not running. I was really looking forward to seeing all of that, but it's still going to be amazing. I mean, Allison and Stephanie and, Chikorita, and there's going to be new names there that, just like Stephanie, kind of came in from nowhere. And so you never know. Somebody brand new. Of course, Lindsay. I'm really excited to see that. And usually there's enough scuttlebutt throughout the course. You can kind of hear who's in first. But even more so the men, that's going to be, I've always wanted to see Ryan and John go at it at a super long distance race.
Right.
Because we've all seen them race at other shorter distance stuff against each other. But I'm super excited. And what's interesting is, I think it was on your podcast, John made it sound like him and Ryan were almost going to run together for a while, and then it was going to be the last few laps were going to be the do or die. You
know what? I don't know if that's the plan, but I can see that happening. They're used to that. Like, that's how they've done it the last 2 years. So, they get to – someone told me, I don't know if it was John or another elite, told me that the race doesn't begin till midnight. Like, up until midnight is just, just kind of feeling each other out. And then once it gets down into the middle of the suck is when they start, like, all right, I'll see you later. So.
Yeah, very, very true. Well, in Virginia, when they had the TMX, the beta testing for TMX back in June, they had the tougher on that Saturday. And that's when all the people for TMX were there. So Ryan and Hunter and all of them were there. And apparently they all ran together at tougher. There was 3 of them, Ryan, Hunter, and somebody else. And they ran together on purpose till the last mile. And then they said, all right, and then they're going to race, and that's where Hunter won.
Yeah.
So it was almost a strategy, so they didn't burn themselves out trying to beat each other for the first 90% of the race. So maybe this is the strategy, is Ryan and John know that they're so close that they're going to stay together so they don't have to wear themselves out. They put themselves in the front of the pack so they know that there's maybe not a third or a fourth too close. And then they go at it at the last part of the race. And then it's a true race at that point. I don't know. That's an interesting strategy. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, you know what?
But it makes sense.
It does. But, Trevor Psychos and Robert Killian might have something to say about it. So we'll see what happens.
Well, right. And it's going to depend if they put enough space between them and Trevor and Robert and, whoever else, Chad. I don't remember who's on teams and who's not and all that stuff. But, yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting. I'm excited to see it.
How do you think it shakes out at the end?
I don't know. I'm old school. I always want Ryan to win. I always call him the king of OCR. Nothing against John. I just don't know John. I mean, not that I really know Ryan, but he's just, he's like the staple and consistent and extremely, extremely nice and the best sport you could ever see that we saw this year happen. Not that John's not, but I think he represents the sport really well. He races it all over North America. So of course we see him all the time, but John's over, in the UK racing all the time. So it'll be interesting. I know Ryan really wants it. I'm sure John really wants it too, but that's kind of Ryan's title. He wants to defend it.
Ryan legitimately owns this race. John can take it, but John's got to take it out of Ryan's hands. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Well, cool. So what else is going on there in Las Vegas?
It's a tad windy. I will tell you that. Actually, walking into the grocery store, I kind of closed my eyes for a second.
Yeah.
Because it was windy. It's warm. It's in the 60s. It's not bad. But I just actually had a moment. I was thinking, okay, there's that wind, just a little bit. But, once it gets a little windy, you kind of get a little nervous here. So, you can't predict the sandstorms. Looks like it's going to be nice weather, but of course I'm prepared for anything, as everyone else should be. Don't just bring one pair of, thin gloves. You better bring thicker gloves too, because Blake mitts were good up until, if it would have gotten any colder last year, I would have needed something thicker. So I hope everyone brought something, else to put on underneath it or an alternative. Also, I hope people didn't think, oh, well, I've already heard a couple of people say, I'm not even going to bring my full. I'm like, oh my God, it's 2014 all over again. I just need I only need my shorty, or I only need my lava pants, or I only need my frog skins. Okay. And you know what? I hope they're right. I hope that that's all it is. But man, if it drops, and it could drop without us knowing or predicting, and they're going to be stuck. They're going to be stuck, and they're going to get DQ'd. They're going to have to drop out. They're going to get cold, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens.
Last year was the warmest year we've ever had in Vegas, actually in any World's Toughest. But usually at midnight-ish every year, the pit like clears out. Like half of the tents, it seems like, are gone in the middle of the night because people get cold, they get hypothermic, they underestimate how cold it gets, and they're gone. They're out of there.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, you got to think people dropped last year from the cold too. I mean, just because it was the warmest doesn't mean that you weren't warm. Now, something else that people need to think about is, like someone like me, I run hot. So when I ran the toughest, were the ones that I actually did decent at, and I was able to run the whole thing, I was hot. I never needed, like in Chicago, I had capris and a tank top on the whole time because I run hot. But if I had to slow down, so say I get injured or I get tired and I have to walk, that changes the game. All of a sudden, it could be 70 degrees and I will be cold because I'm wet, especially if there's wind or if the sun isn't up. So don't think like, oh, well, I run hot. Well, if you still plan on walking, if you get injured, as long as the injury's not too bad, then you're going to need more layers. So even if you don't need a wetsuit if you're running, you might need it if you end up walking. So you have to kind of prepare for not something you want to happen, but if it does, then you want to be able to continue forward. You can still get laps in walking, depending on how early in the race it starts. So.
Yeah, it'd be a shame to spend all the money on a ticket and a plane ticket and hotel rooms and it all fall apart because you didn't want to bring your $120 wetsuit.
Exactly. And some people, like I have extras, but it's not going to fit everybody.
Did you bring your goggles in case there's a windstorm?
No. Actually, I didn't even bring my goggles because I never wore them during the sandstorm. I attempted to wear them. They got in the way. They got wet. They got foggy. It did nothing. And so I don't even bring them anymore. I ended up just using the hood of my windbreaker and shielding myself. That was easier because you couldn't see with the goggles personally. So I didn't even bother.
Were you able to keep going overnight in 2014 with the sandstorm?
Absolutely. Never stopped. We had some long pits because people hurt themselves. And the first year, you kind of don't know what you're doing. Literally, all of a sudden, it's 30 minutes has gone by. Oh, my God, I got to get it back out there. But I never stopped. And the only time I actually sat down was to change into my wetsuit. So that was it.
I've heard you say a couple times.
I was not going to stop. I trained for 5 months. I was not going to stop.
I've heard you say a couple times in the World's Toughest community group that the more suffering, the better. You enjoy the harder, more intense races. Why is that?
Because you have a feeling of so much more accomplishment. I've done 3 World's Toughest. I've done other 24-hour events, GoRucks and BFX 24 and things like that. And last year was great. I had a great time. It was a lot of fun. When I think about World's Toughest Mudder, I do not think about last year. And no offense to anybody else that did last year. I mean, it was awesome. I got a brown bib and all of that. But I remember those amazing moments that I had to keep pushing, through the sandstorm, and then in 2015 through the freezing cold and all that water. And to finish that and to accomplish it and to know that you did your absolute best. And I did my absolute best last year. Well, no, I don't know. I guess I could have jumped the cliff more. But when you're faced with something difficult and you decide to face it on and continue and to push through, and at the end of that, of course, during it, no, you're not like, well, during the sandstorm, initially, I thought it was really awesome. I was like, man, this is going to be a great memory until I got really cold. And then it sucked. But looking back on it, there's nothing like that. You just, and that goes with, this week Worlds will be my 50th event. And so I've done 50 Tough Mudders, not even counting all the other races that I've done. And the ones I remember, because there's so many, you literally forget. Like, I'm like, I don't remember that race. But the ones that you remember are the ones that was like, oh my God, it was so cold, or oh my God, it was so hot, or it was so difficult, or the train was so hard. Those are the ones that you remember, that you reflect on, that when something else is going on in your life that sucks, and you're like, man, this sucks. No, it doesn't suck as bad as, 2015 Virginia, when our hands were being ripped apart by hot metal because it was 110 degrees. You reference those things in your life, and that's how I've found to kind of get through other difficult times that have nothing to do with OCR. And that brings me strength. If I can get through what I've been through, physically difficult, mentally difficult, emotionally difficult, I can get through this little patch of my personal life that's difficult.
What advice would you give somebody running World's Toughest for the first time?
Do not stop. Spend as little time in the pit, not just to save time, but so you don't get cold. And try to remember things. Try to soak it in. Take a breath. Look around. A lot of times we're looking down. A lot of the, because you don't want to trip and fall. But when you get a moment, especially, when the sky is clear at night or at the sunrise or sunset, stop. You can stop for 20 seconds and just look around and soak it up, because you will remember those moments forever. And it's amazing. And remember to help those around you. And as Sue Harvey Brown said recently, she said there's a time to be selfish and there's a time to be selfless. And it's knowing what that is. Help other people, get help yourself, but you need to continue and have your own race.
It's good advice. Melissa Sharkbait Dugan.
Yeah. Oh, we'll miss you out there, Will.
I'll be there. I just won't be.
I know.
But thank you. I appreciate that. It's it was just stupid. Like, I was trying to. So I was in Vegas. I told the story in an episode, but the reason I was out there in Vegas running it was, you like to get a little sneak peek of the course, right? Like, oh, what's the new ops? Like the rope-a-dope is kind of a new thing. It is a new thing, and but if I ran Saturday, Sunday in Vegas, and then Saturday, Sunday in SoCal, then World's Toughest would have been my 25th event. So I was like, yeah, I got this timed out just right. Because I run SoCal every year. I live down here. And I've run Vegas the last couple of years. But it was just a stupid fluke thing. And it could happen to anyone. Like, coming off of a wall, you roll an ankle and your day's over. And it was just a dumb... I really like... World's Toughest is the important thing, not getting the 25 at World's Toughest. So, anyway, it was
I know, but you could have stepped off of a curb and rolled your ankle. I mean, you can't. I know it sucks, and I'm not the one that's in the position, but don't beat yourself up over trying to do something that you love to do, and that's how you got hurt.
Yeah. But it'll be good. It'll be a different story, and 2018 will be good. I'm looking forward to it. So.
Yeah, in Atlanta, right?
I think so. They're playing coy. I don't know if you saw they put a picture up during the SoCal race of 4 options.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
And Atlanta was not one of them.
Atlanta was not one of them. It was like London, Texas, Miami, and I don't remember the fourth one. But it was like...
God, I hope they don't do Miami. It's so boring and flat.
Yeah, there's no hills in Florida. There's like none.
No. I mean, you can go up and down. I lived in Fort Lauderdale, right above Miami, so you can run up and down bridges. That's about all you can do.
So we'll see. I still think signs point to Atlanta, but I don't have a crystal ball, so we'll see what happens.
I know. I wonder how long they're going to wait to tell us. Because there's been years that we found out by December, and other years I think we waited till like April to find out. The first year in Vegas, we had to wait forever.
So the venue's been selected. I know that. They just haven't announced it. And I shouldn't say this. I've been trying to find out like what the venue is, right? Because we know, like I know it's going to be one of a handful of cities, right? And if it's in one of those cities, we know where it would be. Like if it's in Whistler, we know where it'll be in Whistler. If it's in Atlanta, we know where it'd be in Atlanta, right?
Are you calling the venues and trying to find out?
I'm not saying I'm calling the venues, but I'm not saying it. And I've gotten nowhere. So anyway, they might be tight-lipped because there might have been people in the past that have tried to do that. I'm just saying. Maybe someone I'm talking to?
No, it wasn't me. I promise it was not me, but I do know people that back when we didn't know if every year if it was going to be Vegas or Jersey, there were people that had some connections in Jersey that they would try to find out.
Oh, that's funny. But they said they're going to announce it at brunch. So hopefully.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's so I don't know where I heard that or if it was an official announcement, but I know
that's great.
Yeah, last year they told us. Will Dean said he's like, if I knew I'd tell you, but I don't know right now because we were all asking him like, is it going to be in Vegas another year? He's like, if I knew I'd tell you, I don't know. And I think that was true. I think at that time he didn't know for sure. And so I think they're looking forward to announcing it on Monday after World's Toughest.
I did not know that. That makes me happy. Okay, good. Because people have been asking me, and I'm like, I don't know. It could be till January.
Oh, hey, I got a question for you. Why are they not doing the carb load dinner this year? They did it last year.
They were having a hard time finding a space. I guess the Westin may have had other events going on. But headquarters was great about it. They reached out to me they wanted to make sure we were still having the community dinner so that there was something for people to do.
Okay. Cool.
Which, that was nice. I mean, they could have not cared and just said, you guys are on your own. But, no, they wanted to make sure. So, and anyone listening, because I know this is going to be put out tomorrow, you said, it is going to be very, very busy because Veterans Day is that Saturday. And I just found out initially when I booked everything, they were going to have the free Veterans dinner on Saturday. So we're like, oh, we're clear. Well, their headquarters, Station Casinos, decided to move it back to Friday. So it is free Veterans Day.
Like last year.
Like last year. But there was something else that happened last year. Some security guy came and moved the line divider things and all the stuff happened. So what we've done this year to prevent all of that is, one, everyone as much as possible needs to get to the Fiesta buffet from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. anytime on Thursday or anytime after 11 a.m. on Friday before the dinner and prepay. And you're going to get like a wristband or something so that when you come to the dinner Friday night, you're going to have your own entrance. You just walk right in, you're done. You don't have to worry about anything. So please, 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 as many people as possible, do that. We are going to have our own line, our own cashier, and all the admins will be at the dinner this year, so I'll get some help. So I'll have people going out and checking the line, because if we had people checking the line last year, we would have known that there was something wrong. One of the security guys moved one of the lines that literally cut everybody off for like 45 minutes. So it was a big mess. We're doing our best to prevent that.
So if people pre-buy their tickets, they can cut in front of the veterans, you're saying?
Yeah, they can. Well, actually, we have our own line. So we're the veteran, all the normal, patrons will be in their normal lines, and we have our own line, and we'll have a big sign, and it'll be very obvious.
What time is the community dinner on Friday night?
People can show up anytime between 5 and 8, kind of in and out. There's nothing planned. We are going to have a couple announcements. We're giving away a couple of things. So we don't have an exact time. I'm guessing between 6 and 7. Maybe we'll kind of nail that down and announce it if that's when everyone wants to be there. We try to get a big family picture. It's really hard because people are kind of in and out and people are in line while the picture's being done. So we'll do what we can. Maybe have the picture around 6:30 or something like that. So, we've got a few things going on. So we're excited about that.
Awesome. Well, Melissa Dugan, any other thoughts on World's Toughest Mudder?
No, I'm just really excited to see everyone this week. For everyone, I just want to stress to not stress. It's really hard to do, to not stress, but just realize that all these days there's going to be so many events going on, depending on how soon you get here. We now have a dinner Wednesday night, we have Thursday night, we have Friday all day, Friday night, the race Saturday and Sunday, the brunch, the bar crawl. There's so much going on, so just make sure to take a breath, take it all in, look around, and just appreciate it, because you're going to remember all these moments for the rest of your life, and you don't want them to go by and too much is going on that you forget them.
I would imagine that anyone who listens to this podcast is already a member of the World's Toughest Mudder community on Facebook. But if you're not, you should check that out. Like all those events Melissa just mentioned, there's dates and times and information on them on that Facebook group. So check that out also.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you got to figure, I would argue 9 out of 10 people that are running this race are in the community. So you want to be in the community so you can kind of meet your fellow racers and be able to have people to talk. Of course you can talk to anybody anyway, but, get to know them beforehand, and you'll have plenty of friends out on that course all 24 hours.
Yeah, it's fun. You can be like, oh, I saw that ridiculous picture you posted, or, oh, I saw that thing you said about that other thing. And, yeah, you kind of know some people going in. It'll be good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Got to love the big names on the bibs.
Yeah, bring a Sharpie. Write your name on your bib. It's important.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Melissa Dugan, thanks much.
It's a talent. Absolutely. I'll see you in a few days.
I'll see you there.
Hello.
Hello.
Is this Will?
This is Will. Who's this?
This is Zach. I just won a free pair of shoes from you.
Hey, Zach. How are those? Oh, you probably don't have them yet, do you?
No, not yet. I'm getting them Tuesday. My dad's bringing them to World for me.
Nice.
So we wanted to call because me and Fred Howcroft are driving from Massachusetts and Connecticut to World.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
Well, what are we on, day 3 now?
Day 3 for you, day 2 for me.
Holy smoke. How many days is it going to be when you get there?
It's going to be a lot of days.
we're hoping to be there by Thursday.
Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
We're talking on Monday night. So that's how many hours a day are you driving?
We're hoping 10.
8 to 10. It's just
Well, that's cool. So you have a little time to see some sights or find a hotel room or
want to hit
something?
Grand Canyon before we hit Vegas.
Sure. Absolutely.
We're stopping to do stuff we haven't seen or done before. It's been interesting.
You know what? It's. How old are you guys?
Fred's 35. I'm 27.
That's awesome.
No, fuck you, Fred.
That's cool. When I was, when I was younger, I did a big road trip with a couple buddies of mine, and we just took off work and we're like, hey, we've never been to these states. Let's go check them out. And so that's cool. You can just check out the stuff on the way and make a expedition of it.
Fred did the math today. We're going to hit 17 states on the whole trip.
Nice. And obviously you're driving back. Are you driving back the same route, or are you going back a different way?
A little bit different. We're going to hit a couple states we're not getting on the way down. So Zach and I are both from New England, so the middle of the country is kind of odd to us. But we have this great road where we're looking out right now, and you can literally see the archway.
Okay, we're in St. Louis right now.
Okay, right now? Okay, cool. Awesome. Did you guys get one of those coloring books where you can fill in the states as you drive through them?
So he knows you well, Fred.
I'm not really good with coloring within the lines. That's why I do have fun.
Well, cool. So are you guys both running when you get to Vegas?
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. Have you been before, or is this your first year?
Fred was
I pitted last year.
His number 1 pick for last year.
Yeah.
Okay. What are your...
This is first year out there, and my first year running. So we got a good group of people going out to support the Mudder family and great causes, and it's about the community,
Yeah. What are your goals for the year? How many miles are you looking for?
Yeah, I'm looking for a dirty brown dip.
55?
At least. Yeah.
I'm hoping for 55.
That's awesome. People will say that you can get 50 miles by walking, and don't believe them. It's not true.
You know, the same thing is last year I saw people doing triple laps, and then I went out and pit. And the same people I saw triple lap out there, a lot of them squeezed out 55. And I see people do triple laps at Snow, Western New York. And then they went out there, and in that desert, it nails you. That temperature drop, and the ground is just it's hard. It's insane. So see the same people that are able to go and get 3 laps on a regular Saturday, and then go out there and barely be able to squeeze out 55. It's pretty gnarly out there. I won't lie.
Yeah, it's rocky. It's like hard. It's not like trail running like you're used to, where it's a little forgiving.
No, if you've never been to the desert before, it will totally throw you. But you know what? You guys should have Worlds in Philly, because Philly sucked. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Philly toughest sucked. That was horrible. That wasn't cool.
No. No.
Did you guys both run Philly Toughest?
I technically ran.
You got what you walked?
I got 5.5 miles.
5.5. We ran tough earlier that day, and then
we walked the course with Ian Panther that day.
Yeah, we were on course with.
And then we did toughest. I did 5 miles, and then I did a half lap. And Fred accidentally did a penalty.
Yeah, on my second lap, I lost my headlamp on what was Candy Swains was turning the light.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost my headlamp, so I went out, and I thought it was a loop that came back from the obstacle. And I was waiting for Zach, because I figured Zach was waiting for me because he did the obstacle. And I ended up back on course. He just kept running without a headlamp. And then 4 miles in the dark.
Yep, I found him at the pit, and he was dying. And
I went back up for another. I got 15 in Philly, but it was insane.
Philly hurt.
Yeah.
Philly was pretty cold too, wasn't it?
Cold and wet.
Yeah. Down to like low 40s or high 30s. It was brutal.
Yeah, it was no jokes. It was a lot different than Vegas, because Vegas last year at least, you got wet, then you dry. You got a chance to get dry. Out there, it's just
Philly was damp all night.
You were wet. There's nothing you could do. Wet and cold.
And I heard that they put Funky Monkey like right after Arctic Enema, like immediately after it.
Oh, they were mean.
You guys always coming up with Enema and it being not as lit. That can throw you a little bit.
So, what motivated you guys why'd you make it a road trip out of it?
So
it's a lot easier than flying and buying tickets.
In January, Fred and I had early talked about doing Tough Guy, and I backed out of that because I got sick. But my uncle and I talked about driving to Vegas because he can't fly anymore.
Right.
He backed out, so I was like, "Oh, hey, I was going to drive to Vegas," and Fred goes, "I want to drive. I want to save money. I want to drive." So we made a road trip out of it.
So there you go. Are you bringing your uncle, or did he get left out now?
He got left out because he can't fly without pain. So.
Oh. Did you? So you never made it over to Tough Guy?
I did. He got his medal. Bringing his medal to the world.
Really?
I'm bringing my bringing my Tough Guy medal to the world. Tough Guy. I heard about it last year. There's a documentary, and I got to see it. I thought it was pretty cool. And actually, it was last year when I came out to pit for Worlds. I kind of was half and seeing who I could get to sign up for it before they do Worlds. A lot of people doing a lot of talk, and
yeah, I was the only one that said yes, I'm going.
Right. And then Tyler Fritz and Nikki Perry, and me, Nikki, and Tyler Fritz all went out. I think Tyler Fritz went out,
yeah.
And it was fun. It was great to see. Great to see some be able to do an OCR in England.
No, that was supposedly the last Tough Guy, right?
Yeah, the last official Tough Guy. Now they're.
Yeah, I don't know. I do races. I don't. Yeah, but yeah, it was fun. But yeah, it kind of reminded me of doing Worlds a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right. Which is more fun, Tough Guy or Worlds?
It's not even easy compared to Tough Guy. It's just I haven't done Worlds. I've only pitted Worlds, so I can't really speak to Worlds. But Tough Guy just going out there. Maybe it's because it was in a different country, so it was that culture shock.
Right.
And not like a shock, but just the little bit differences.
So you're a shock head, both.
I pretty much do. it was just, it was different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a good time.
I've never run Tough Guy, but I remember in that Rise of the Sufferfest video, they show men like screaming and crying coming out of these electrical obstacles, and I'm like, I think to myself, that does not look like fun at all. Like, I don't want to do that.
I think I was in the torture chamber, and it was my first race where I went to. I'm pretty sure the obstacle was called the torture chamber, and I was on the ground, and I had got hit in the head with a log hanging from a string. And I just remember going, and it was crazy.
Nikki will attest to that.
Yeah, you were crawling through chambers, and it was different, and it wasn't as I don't want to say safe, but just there wasn't.
It was not as.
There was not as many. If you got hurt, you might be there for a minute before someone can get you.
There's an obstacle where they hit you in the head with a log.
No, you're crawling through you're going through
imagine like Dark Lightning.
Yeah.
That we're gonna have in the world, but it's like that, but primitive.
Sure.
Yeah, you're going through tunnels, and they were like small logs cut, but they were hanging from wood. So when you come through, if you bump one the wrong way, it comes swinging back. So you try and keep warm and go as fast as you can.
Sure.
So you hit it and knock it around.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah,
well, cool. Time. Well, that's a good story that you were, able to make it to the quote unquote last Tough Guy.
Quote unquote last Tough Guy.
I don't know.
Have you traveled to any other countries to do OCRs?
I'm hoping Canada next year.
2 years ago, I did Scotland. Scotland, tough one.
How was that?
Oh, it's beautiful. I've told you this like 4 times now. When you say I forgot, I told you that. No, we had like every season of weather the whole race. It was great.
There is a Toughest Mudder in Scotland next year. I'm gonna.
Yeah, I might be doing that. My friend lives in Scotland, so I might be doing that one.
Yeah, if you're going to travel to a race, Scotland, you can't. It's tough to beat Scotland.
How many miles do you see we put on the road?
Too many.
Yeah, I'm not. What? How many years have you had a season pass now?
2 years now. 2 years I got a season pass.
I think I'm 3. Yeah, 3. This is my third year getting a season pass.
And just driving all over.
Yeah.
You guys drive to all your races?
Most of them. Like I flew to New Orleans this year, but then all the rest I drove to.
How was it doing the first race of the year in New Orleans?
New Orleans, you know what? I liked it. I liked the course, but I wasn't in the right mindset. So, I went to do the first Tougher of the year.
Right.
But I wasn't in the right mindset to actually run competitively. So I ended up doing the course in 4 hours because I walked the whole thing. And I met great people doing it, but I didn't feel good about myself doing it then. So then I forced myself to train and everything for the rest of the year.
What was the energy like doing the very first one of the year? Was it different, after everyone's been on a layoff or kind of in the off season?
It was actually very low because there were only about 30 of us that did the very first Tougher.
You know what's weird though? I didn't get to make that one, but I saw tons of live videos.
You did.
Yeah.
You got to see Nikki Perry's ass in a live video. But no, it was very quiet actually because there was only 30 of us that did the first.
A lot of people post live videos themselves having a great time in New Orleans. It was St. Patty's Day weekend.
Yeah, and nobody invited Fred.
I didn't invite. I just didn't want to go. Sorry, I need to break up with those guys. I just flew to England. I had to fly back. Let me have 2 months off and relax.
Trust me, I'm going to have 2 weeks of you, and I'm going to be sick of you.
You know?
So what do you guys think about the competition this year at World's Toughest?
We're split on that 50-50. Yeah.
As far as?
It's good and bad. Some of us like the competition. Some of us don't like the competition. It motivates some of us. It doesn't. Some of us look for the community in it and look to run together, and some of us look to better ourselves and run just as a personal goal. So, there's pros and cons to it.
You know what? That's all right, though.
We'll see where it goes next year, Yeah. How do they grow it?
Well, people talk about, it's a cliche, though, you got to run your own race. And that's true. There's people out there at World's Toughest who they'd be happy with 25 miles and just hanging out with their friends, and then other people are like,
Yep.
they're
I would look at World Toughest as a whole different ballgame, but like a tougher, like a regular Tough Mudder too. Do I want to go and hang out with my friends? Do I want to go run it? And it changes this year. In the past, I've run them as just hang out with people, and lately I've been running them to train for Worlds and actually push myself to run faster. So, it's a toss-up.
That's true. What I've kind of started doing is the Tough Mudders near my house. There's two of them that are within like 2 hours. Those ones I kind of reserve for fun, hang out with friends. But if
Which were those?
Yeah, where are you?
I'm in San Diego, so like the SoCal one and the LA one are both my close. I'm about as far as possible from you two guys where you live.
I'm a little disappointed because the closest Tough Mudder to me is in New Hampshire.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. But it was the closest one to me, even when that one was in Maine. For some reason, I didn't like it and enjoy it as much because it was so close. Like the weekend away, the drive. That's what I like.
Yeah.
But now one of my favorite, which is my first Mount Snow, I heard it's not going to be there next year.
Nope. Go on.
And I'm hoping that that's.
I'm hoping that we can bring it back. We can petition to bring it back.
I've heard Mount Snow is a popular one. I never have to run that one.
Mount Snow
it's such a different vibe.
So it's the mountain course, right?
Yeah.
And it beats the shit out of you, and that's why people don't want it, because it actually pushes. So they want something flat. But no, if you really want to run Tough Mudder, you got to run a Mount Snow.
Mount Snow.
Is the Boston one replacing Mount Snow? Is that kind of the way it looks?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same weekend. It's the same weekend that Mount Snow was.
It's garbage.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's going to be flat there, so it's not going to be worth it.
I believe they're having a Toughest in Boston, aren't they? At that venue?
That one.
I heard that rumor.
Yeah.
I don't have the toughest list in front of me, but I think so.
Also, that Mount Snow. Oh man.
Yeah.
Nobody would hit contender status there.
What? Mount Snow?
Ed Zubrowski would be the only guy.
It's my hero.
I love
I'm not gonna say why.
No.
Ed's my hero. You know why Ed's my hero?
Will, do you know who Ed Zubrowski is?
I know the name, but I've never talked to him. No.
Okay, so
great kid.
Ed is the greatest guy I've ever.
Yeah.
He runs mountain courses, but he can't run a flat course.
Oh man.
He can't run a flat course?
Nope. He ran Long Island, and he did one lap, and he goes, "Yeah, no, I can't do this." He ran Mount Snow, he did 4 laps.
That kid should be in a train.
Why is that? Like, it's not like you still need leg muscles.
He gets to a mountain, and he goes for fitness and runs up it. That's Ed. Ed and Deanna Braz, that's what they do. That's it.
Yeah.
No, I know Deanna Braz. I met her in Las Vegas last week.
Yeah. We're good friends with Deanna.
She was walking like across the parking lot, and the parking lot in Vegas is like a mile long, and I was driving in.
She talks.
Say again?
I'm buddies with Deanna, but I can use it because of the way she talks.
Oh, because of her accent?
Deanna Braz.
How do you say her last name? Am I saying it wrong?
Braz.
No. He's saying it like a teenage girl, but he talks like he's from Boston, so.
Yeah, I give Deanna a hot time every time I see her. She's a phenomenal athlete.
She's a stud. She did great at the tougher races this year. She finished 7th in the World Championship, I think, for the tougher wave, 10-mile race.
Yes. She finished plus 10.
Yeah.
So.
A friend of mine said they wanted to beat her, and they said if they beat her, that I'll pay for any race they want to do next year, so I have to get half of the prize money.
Yeah, they didn't beat her.
Now she's run. I'm looking at online here. She is running World's Toughest. She's a contender.
Yeah, of course she is. That's without a doubt.
Well, that's cool.
That goes to say she got first in Western New York.
I think
she got first, and Nikki got third.
She'll place top 15 at World. Top 15? Top 15. I wouldn't say top 10. Top 15.
Top 15 at Worlds?
Yeah.
How many miles do you think she'll run?
Deanna? I want to say... I think she could get a silver bib.
75 miles.
I think she'd get a silver bib.
Yeah, it's 75?
Yeah. I could see that.
It all depends. It depends on how it goes. Like if it was like last year, like
Although we're seeing the penalties come out from Brady, and there are massive penalties on it. So,
but here's the thing about Worlds. Like so I was out there last year. Last year it was kind of nice. But I heard were you there the year before?
I was 2015. Absolutely, I was there.
The sandstorm.
That was 2014. I was not there for 2014.
So 2014.
2014 was sandstorm. 2015 was absolute cold.
That's right.
And this year's gearing up to be colder than last year.
Yes.
This year's looking. Yeah, it's looking like somewhere. I mean, this is we're talking on Monday night. We're 5-6 days away. It looks like it's going to be between 2015 and 2016 weather-wise.
Yeah. But still colder than.
It got colder last year.
Than we want.
It got colder last year.
Yeah. That's the only thing I'm worried about.
I saw a lot of Ugg boots in the desert. I'm saying it got cold.
Did you guys bring your wetsuits?
I brought a shorty, I brought a full, and I brought a vest.
Nice. What you, Fred?
I weigh 100 pounds, so I have to have that.
I figured just like Adidas hoodie and sweatpants.
Fred's running shirtless.
I'm actually wearing it. I brought two wetsuits. One was like someone gave to me, and one was my late father's. I was just like, they'll work. Felt a little tough.
Yeah.
The full one he wore in Philly, and he was good. So
a little full one in Philly, and then the other one tough. I was good. It's running what's stuck.
No, I think World's gonna be like Philly was, about as cold.
That'll knock some people out if that's the case.
The temperature drop last year did. It did. And I think a lot of people don't. So the one thing I kind of have going for me that I think is that I pitted last year in Vegas.
You know what it's going to be.
And then I did a toughest. But pitting out there in a lot of people, and I didn't realize even last year, when you go to Worlds, it's a different vibe. It's a different atmosphere than a regular Tough Mudder because it's more goal-oriented. And this year with toughest and tougher waves, you see a little bit more of that, of course, but nothing to like how it is at Worlds. At Worlds, people are out there to compete. People are out there to spend a lot of money. They're there to get their goals. You're talking, there's people for months before looking at every calorie they put in their body, everything they eat, how much sleep they get, and they're going out there with meal plans and all this crazy-ass scientific crap like they're Ivan Drago and Rocky IV just to try to get 55, 60 miles in the desert. And you get someone who strolls out there and just does it. So it's a different vibe. It's some people that you normally see go out and do a lap or two for fun. They're out there and they're serious and they ain't screwing around.
You're not wrong. There's still that camaraderie and that cooperation, but you're right. People are out there. They want to hit their 50 miles. They want to hit their 75 miles.
You'll see it, but it's different. But then afterwards,
you'll see it when you have to.
Afterwards, the pub crawl, the brunch, when everybody gets together and everyone's celebrating, it's such a high just to be around those people. That's when the community really comes together. So you actually get to see the personal struggles and what people there achieve, the reasons why we do Tough Mudder. You see those more come out of in the individual at Worlds, and then afterwards everyone comes right back together, which is insane. It's like Thanksgiving.
I totally agree. Someone does World's Toughest Mudder and they leave before the brunch, I feel like they're missing out on, not half, but a big piece of the experience.
Yeah. No, it's a weekend. You know what I mean? You register
Friday to Monday. You're there for.
Yeah. The couple who was going to pit for me, they said, yeah, we're going to fly Friday and fly on Sunday. I was like, no, the Tough Mudder weekend at Worlds, it starts early Friday morning, and it ends Monday evening. Now there are family dinners, there's community dinners, there's people getting together and doing stuff as early as Tuesday and Wednesday, and going as late as Wednesday and Thursday, but. The bare minimum going out is early Friday morning until at least late Monday night.
Yeah. I've never done the bar crawl. I usually drive home to San Diego, like, after the brunch. But
that's kind of You gotta go to our Pop Crawl, man. John Coppa. Are you familiar with John Coppa? I'll show you.
Yeah.
So I got to talk to him last year in the desert, and he told me the reason he did, and I was like, that's actually really cool.
Great man.
So he comes up. You're at the pub crawl, we're all hanging out. Everyone's having a beer. A lot of the familiar faces when you type in YouTube, you see like Top Mudder, you see are there.
He's top of the list.
Everybody's there, and John Carper comes walking up playing the bagpipes. You know what I mean?
I know people that have written already that they're looking forward to sunrise when they hear the bagpipes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that's their goal in Tough Mudder.
And the pub crawl is it's on the old strip, so it's a really fun place to hang out. Whether you drink or don't, you don't have to go in the pub. But everyone just kind of congregates that one area, and we just all hang out. It's phenomenal.
Well, I will see you guys in Vegas. Are you driving right now, or are you stopped? What are you doing?
We're staying in Missouri tonight. We're gonna go sleep right now, and but we have a page dedicated to our road trip.
Oh yeah, you want to plug that? Go for it.
It's called Zach Let Fred Talk Him Into This.
Zach Let Fred Talk Him Into This.
Yes.
On Facebook?
That's exactly. Yes.
I will check that out.
And Zach Redden and Fred Howcroft, and we're driving cross country to Vegas.
That's awesome, you guys. Well, I hope.
You got there, but all right.
So who's driving first leg tomorrow?
I'll drive first leg tomorrow.
All right, sweet.
Well, I hope you keep each other warm tonight, and I will see
we
you.
did get the team back.
I will see you in Las Vegas in a few days. Hey, Phoebe Breimer, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Will Hicks?
So good. Are you excited about World's Toughest Mudder?
Yeah. I mean, it's been my home turf. This has been it's been sad. It's the last one here. Not the last WTM, obviously, but the last one here.
Phoebe, you live in Las Vegas.
I do.
How far is your house from the venue?
It's far.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, my phone decided to disconnect from my car. I'm driving.
No worries. You are, I don't know what your title would be, but you have kind of opened up your house to people that need to ship stuff into Las Vegas, and you're kind of the unofficial post office for the World's Toughest Mudder community.
I prefer World Toughest Mudder Shipping Depot.
What does your living room look like right now?
There are 212 boxes in my living room, I believe.
212. Is that normal? Is that like a normal year?
No, this is by far the most that have ever been there.
How do you...
This is probably 3 times what I've ever had in a given year. It's half my living room.
How do you distribute that when people come into town? Like, what do you do?
Well, I've never had to distribute this many, so I don't know. I'll let you know on Saturday.
That's a night. You're going to have people showing up Thursday, Friday, and Saturday expecting you to have their stuff, ready for them.
So usually very few people actually come to my house. Usually what'll happen is I've cleared my schedule. So for a profession, what I get paid to do is I'm a professional tutor. And so I have a fairly flexible schedule. And so what I've done is my last client is Thursday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. And after that, I have 0 clients until Sunday evening at 6:30. And so I will spend Thursday and Friday, the majority of the days, along with other things, but distributing those things. So I'm going to be down at the site on Thursday, doing some things. I don't know exactly what time yet. So I imagine anyone who's staying at the Westin and is at the Westin by Thursday and has stuff at my house, I will have that stuff with me and they can have it. Anyone who's staying between my house and the Westin, which is basically like all of Las Vegas because I'm on the complete opposite end of town. I will stop and it's very funny. We have very clandestine meetings in parking lots. back alleys. It's really kind of funny. There have been some very interesting situations. We've had some very interesting looks over the years.
It's like a shady drug deal going
I'll
on.
say we actually had one year where we had tailwind, and we literally had baggies full of white powder that we were exchanging in a parking lot out of the trunk of somebody's car.
Oh, great.
It was awesome. It was so funny to us. We actually took a picture, like, as if it were a drug deal, like tasting it, like with our fingers. It was pretty funny.
That would be great if you got pulled over and they looked at your phone.
Yeah, it was hilarious. I will have stuff with me at the sock dinner at Camp Rhino on Thursday night. I know I'm dropping some stuff off to people there. Friday, I will be at registration. I'll be on site Friday almost all day. So I'm planning to distribute a lot because this is the most tents I have ever received. I have probably 17 tents in my living room.
Oh my gosh.
So there are people who are planning to set up their pits on Friday, and I have their stuff for their pit. So I imagine that stuff's probably, I'm just going to bring it with me Friday. I'm going to borrow my dad's truck and load it up and just bring it with me. And I'm planning to be on site Friday from like 7 a.m. until probably 2-ish. So I imagine that will take care of the rest of it. And then there are a few people I'm bringing stuff on Friday night at the community dinner. And then hopefully it'll all be delivered by then. And I don't have to bring anything Saturday. And it'll already be distributed.
You do this for free. Like, you don't charge anyone for this service. Do they tip?
Charge.
Do they tip you? Do they buy you dinner or a bottle of nice wine or something?
Every once in a while, I will get a gift. I've gotten an Amazon gift card every once in a while. I'm not a big drinker. I've had actually a lot of people this year have asked, they're like, what do you drink? What's your favorite beverage? Do you drink wine? Do you, whatever? And I'm like, I'm not really a big drinker. I mean, I've had a bottle of vodka in my house for 4 years, so probably not a good gift. So I've had people send me like bath bombs for the bath, just unsolicited, thinking of things that I like. I drink a lot of tea, but like my cupboard's full of tea, so I wouldn't ask for that anymore. It's really just out of the goodness of my heart. I've already started. I wish we knew where it was. I'm planning a rather significant recruitment for wherever World's Toughest Mudder ends up being next year. So I'm gonna interview people to take over the role.
What are your favorite 2 or 3 restaurants if people wanted to buy you a gift card?
Oh, my favorite restaurants. I don't eat out a lot. I mean, here in town, Sushi Loca, but that's like a very local restaurant, so they wouldn't be able to do that. I mean, if we were going chain restaurants, Claim Jumper, Mimi's Cafe, Chipotle's always good. Panera's always good.
200 boxes plus. I hope that at least a percentage of them give you like a $5 or $10 gift card.
I don't want 200 gift cards. I would feel so bad if that ended up happening.
Well, you're providing a service, and I know people are happy to. I just don't want you to take advantage of it.
Well, it fills my shopping. I don't have a shopping addiction, but, sometimes you like to shop a little. At this point, I get over a dozen packages a day. I don't feel the need to spend any money. It's like Christmas every day. And now I'm even consolidating because my living room is so full. So I'm actually getting to open the packages. So far, I haven't come across anything questionable, although sometimes that happens. And I'm like, probably shouldn't open that.
That's fun. Well, cool. Well, hey, Phoebe, what are you doing this weekend at World's Toughest Mudder? What is your role?
I am working with Mud Run Guide, providing media coverage for the event.
Are you going to be out there the full 24 hours?
Oh, yeah.
So when you say
it's the only way to go.
If someone wanted to follow Mud Run Guide to see what's going on up there, what are some good channels to keep an eye
on? We'll be doing a lot of Facebook Live on the Mud Run Guide Facebook page. We'll have Instagram stories going on. Those are our 2 primary ones. Probably be, I don't even, actually, those are the only two I ever use with Mud Run Guide. You'd have to ask Margaret if she's planning anything else. I know we have Nicole Miracle working with us. She's going to help do some coverage for Mud Run Guide because she's not racing.
She is the world champion of Tougher Mudder.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be exciting to see her take on it.
Yeah, it should be really interesting. I asked her when she was in Vegas a couple weeks ago for the regional Tougher the week before the World Championships, and I asked her if she was, if she wants to compete in WTM, and she was like, I'm not there yet. She's like, I don't think so.
I'm sure she would do just fine.
I think she would do fantastic, but I can see where some people get a little scared about it.
It's intimidating. It's a scary, scary thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, cool. Well, Phoebe Breimer, anything else? What else is going on in Las Vegas these days? Who do you think's going to win?
Oh, who's going to win the big show?
Top man, top woman.
I would say I'm going to go John Albin for the men. I just don't see how anyone can beat him. So I'm going to go John Albin for the men. For the women, I don't know who's going to win it for the women. I don't personally feel like there's a lock on that. I want Deanna Blegg to win is
Sure.
what I want.
Sure.
Because she has, apart from just being a phenomenal athlete, her story and what she's overcome to get back to this level of competition is, so I'd really love to see her win. And I think she's absolutely capable of it. She is a machine, that woman. So that I'm going to say that's who I hope wins.
Awesome. Well, we'll see.
But you know what? That's always, I'm friends with everybody. So it's really difficult for me to say, like when you look at Allison Ty and Steph Fish, there's just, Morgan Mackay. I love all those guys. I love all those ladies. And so it's really difficult for me to say, like, this is who I think's going to win. Cause I'm like, and anything can happen out there.
You're totally right. You're
literally,
totally right.
You jump wrong off a wall and you break a leg and you're out.
Tell me about it.
You're right. How's that knee doing?
That's all right. I'll be fine. So, all
when
right.
are you coming? Are you in town? Are you coming to town?
I will be in town Thursday afternoon, and I'll be there through Monday.
Are you coming to the sock dinner Thursday night?
I am. Oh, you know what? Hey, can you buy me some tickets? And I'll pay you back when I get there. I need 7 tickets
for the sock dinner.
Yeah, is that the one at the Fiesta? Which one's that?
No, Fiesta's Friday night. That's the community dinner. You need 7 tickets for that?
Yeah. Do I need tickets for the sock dinner?
I'll take. Yeah, the sock dinner you have to pay for, but it's only like I think it's $10 a person.
Like at the door?
And at the door, yeah. And you can just buy it right there, and It's tons of fun.
Cool.
Tons of fun Thursday night.
Yeah, if you could give me those 7.
I can get you tickets. Yeah, I'll grab you 7 tickets for the Fiesta.
Too kind. And then and then I'll take care of you when I get there, if that's all right, too.
Yeah.
I'm good for it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I was planning to go over and get some anyway, because I'll be running all over the place. So I was like, I think I'll go get my tickets early.
Awesome. Phoebe, you are too kind.
Anytime. That's what I'm here for.
Well, cool. Well, I will see you in a few days, Phoebe.
Hello.
Hello.
This is the Will Hicks.
This is the Will Hicks. Who's this?
This is some John Hodson.
Hey, John. How are you, man?
Good, brother. Just got done with a late night run and want to make sure I was able to call in.
Yeah, John, you are running World's Toughest this weekend. Are you tapering, or what's your? We're talking Monday night before Worlds.
Yeah, it's definitely tapering. It's a cold night in Utah. It's about mid-30s with 10-mile-per-hour wind chill. So, you put on my shorty wetsuit and my windbreaker just to get a good feel for how the late night will be on, at World's Toughest Mudder, and feel good. And just the rest of the week will be a lot of yoga.
A lot of yoga is kind of your cool down or go into Worlds exercise.
Yeah, I typically do it a lot the week of a race. Like a normal Tough Mudder, I will
have my last run the Monday of, do some sort of upper body workout, grip strength on Tuesday, and then really spend the rest of the week stretching. Yoga I've incorporated a lot lately in my 30s because I feel it definitely helps me with my preparation and especially in my recovery.
How was that?
I kind of fell into it when I first tried P90X years ago just because everybody else was doing it. And I really liked the yoga aspect just because of that, building like the strength and, certain muscle groups that you don't normally get to, using a lot of the body weight. But then also, like I said, like in my 30s, recovery takes a lot now. It's not like when I was in high school, and doing football and wrestling where I can get beat up but still go to practice the next day. The recovery aspect takes a lot longer now. So I'm trying to be a lot smarter, taking better care of my body.
That's good. How are you feeling going into Worlds this year?
I have been nothing but excited the whole time. Every year that it has been in Las Vegas, I always end up kicking myself for not doing it. And especially after watching the special from last year on Christmas, I signed up, ready to go. Last dance in the desert, no excuses. But then this morning when I woke up, it's race week. My stomach has been in knots. So now I just have that nervous energy. So I'm trying to turn that into a big day Saturday night.
So this is your first year running World's Toughest?
This is my first World's Toughest Mudder, and I am beyond ecstatic for it.
That feeling, I don't know if you call it butterflies or what you call it, but that's a great, great feeling, your first year.
It definitely reminds me of when I ran my first Tough Mudder in 2013 back in Arizona. So, I started having flashbacks of it, and started just kind of going through, those same thoughts and feelings, all day today. So I can't wait to touch down into Vegas and check in, as early as possible on Friday, get my, tent and everything set up and just ready to go and have an awesome time with, the best community out there.
Are you bringing a pit crew with you or are you going solo?
I'm bringing a pit crew. My lovely wife, I am dragging her along, maybe against her will, maybe not. But she's been really supportive, especially the last week as I've been slowly becoming a nervous wreck. And, she's there for my support. And it's kind of like the Rocky story, she is the Adrian to my Rocky. So it'll be good having her there.
It's interesting. I've never run World's Toughest with my wife as my pit crew. I think it's emotional in the middle of the night. You can be a crabby Kathy. So I let her know ahead of time you might not be in the best mood, and hopefully there's no repercussions when you get home.
She has been preparing for that from what people have told her. I have a good buddy who I used to live in Tucson, Arizona. Kind of filling me in on everything, so I've been feeding that to her. And I definitely, once we get back, I have booked her a nice 90-minute Swedish massage as a thank you. So I'll definitely be owing her.
Yeah. You might want that massage when you get home, though. So
absolutely, I'll see if they can turn it into a couples massage.
So, what are your goals for your first year?
So the initial, if I were, call my shot like Babe Ruth, it's going to be, 50 miles minimum. I want the brown bib. I'm going out there. I'm coming back with some prizes. My stretch goal would definitely be the 75-mile bid, which, if I keep myself at 3 mile per hour pace, it's definitely doable. Definitely going to be looking into digging deep, using my military training with, having to, work through, sleep deprivation and, use that to kind of push through like the dark times, overnight. So it's definitely doable.
Yeah, that's a real thing. The dark times overnight, like your brain will start working against you and tell you to slow down or tell you to take a long pit. And that's something you got to fight, all for hours and hours overnight.
Absolutely. And I think I've kind of tailored my workouts the last month and a half, working out later. By nature, I'm one of those people that likes to wake up, be the first person in the gym, get my workout in. That way it's done for the day. So it really altered, my ways the last few weeks, like, going to the gym like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, pushing it past midnight just to kind of get my body used to that. And then Trevor Psychos, what he posted on Facebook a couple of weeks ago kind of inspired me, where he said, he did his first World's Toughest Mudder, got 75 miles, and the most he ever ran before that was pretty much a half marathon. So, it is doable.
What are some difficulties you're anticipating? Like, what do you think World's Toughest is going to hold for you?
I think, for me, look, ignorantly, I'm saying the cliff is not going to be a big deal because I grew up a competitive swimmer until I did high school sports, and I love being in the water and I love jumping into the water. But we'll see how that excitement happens once I'm looking over the cliff and wow, I'm really going to do this. I think from the post I got put on Facebook about Black Lightning 2.0. So thinking of doing electric eel in the dark, I don't know. In my head, I'm slowly trying to wrap my head around that and build myself up to that.
That Black Lightning looks like a serious obstacle. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, my first response to the Facebook post on that was 2 words: penalty lap.
Yeah, you know what? The Black Lightning is set up on the same concrete pad where they usually set up operation. And
yes,
the operation penalty in the past has been very, very short, where it almost makes as much sense to just take the penalty time-wise. Depending on how fast you are at operation, you might as well just take the penalty because it could be faster. But
exactly,
it depends if they have a short penalty, I would absolutely take that every single time. But we'll have to see how they structure that.
And especially with gunning for 75 miles, really thinking, is it worth sitting waiting for an obstacle, or would I just rather bypass it and take the penalty? So that's something I'm going to take it into play. And then I think the biggest challenge I think right now is just the unknown, is not knowing all the obstacles. There'll be the new obstacles, so any kind of training that you've had in preparation for certain obstacles, that gets all thrown out the window, and it's like everyone kind of starts from ground zero again.
Yeah, and that's part of the fun of World's Toughest is that, there's going to be a handful of brand new obstacles, and then there's going to be a handful of World's Toughest exclusive obstacles that the first time through, they're brand new to you. But, by the end of the race, you've done them, 4, 5, 6, 10 times maybe. And they kind of get to be old hat by the end of the race.
And then come next race season, we'll be pros at it already.
Yeah, you kind of have a head start for, that next tougher mudder you're going to go to.
Absolutely.
So are you going to convince your wife to run with you next year, maybe?
It took some convincing after all the years that I've been doing it to get her to do the half. And I think after Las Vegas a week and a half ago, I think I finally got her on hook, and especially with the conversation you had with her, to try the full, so get her feet wet on that. But getting her to even do like a toughest, I think would be a big stretch. So right now, getting her to run a full in 2018 and then, really trying to sell her on the repeat offender program, will be a good starting point.
Yeah, that repeat offender thing, but it's the people who are running World's Toughest Mudder, it's not even really a thing for them, right? Like a full and a half in 2 years, like what is that? But for some people, that's a big, big deal. Like your wife, like my wife, like doing 15 mile. That's a big thing. So yeah, I think that'll work out for them.
Well, and like we discussed in Las Vegas, I think that's definitely geared more towards the people who've done the half but have been too timid to do the full. Because I think for those of us who've done like a full Tough Mudder and then so, we kind of look at it like, oh, I have to pay to do a half now to get this, but will they entice us with a bib? Yeah,
right. And it's kind of like one time I don't know what happened. I got an injury. I get hurt too much, and I stopped and I did the half. Like I just stopped at the half. Like 5 miles in, there's like a channel where you can choose to, if you're the half, you go to left. If you're full, you go right. I was like, well, I'm done. Like I'm getting out of here. And then they give you the white headband, and
yes,
it was almost like not embarrassing, but I was like, this isn't like what I came here for. So anyway.
Well, and I remember seeing you, when I got done, I'm thinking, I don't remember him passing me. And then I was going to go over to you, and then my youngest daughter, who got done with the Benny butter, like, Dad, I need to go to the bathroom. And then by the time I came back, you were gone. I'm like, Elvis has left the building.
Yeah. I got that's the race I got hurt at a couple weeks ago. It was a tough Las Vegas. So I don't know. I talked about it in the nutrition episode, but yeah, that was not a fun weekend for me, not a fun day. So.
And the nutrition episode was very beneficial. Listening to this morning as I was getting ready for work, trying to think of what I need to do this week as far as like carb loading and, because I've always been like 48 hours out, start pounding the pasta, and then I'm notorious for, especially the night before, and treat it like it's Thanksgiving. So from hearing Ken's points of like, no, I should not do that. So that definitely helped me out, kind of make some alterations to this, this weekend, how I'm going to treat my nutrition.
Yeah, he had some good points in there. If you haven't listened to it, you want to listen now, you should check it out. Like, I always thought, like, okay, big pasta dinner the night before, but man, that's a terrible idea. Like, I would always just like have this giant lump sitting in my stomach, and so yeah, no, there's good advice in that episode.
Yeah, and if anyone who's familiar with the TV show The Office, it's kind of like Michael Scott pounding the fettuccine Alfredo right before the 5K. Like, you don't want that happening.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think about the elites? Ryan Atkins, John Albin, Stephanie Bishop, Allison Tai. What do you think is going to happen there?
I definitely think I'll be getting laughed by them a lot. So I'll be looking forward to that. Jokingly, I was telling my wife I think it'd be hilarious if they would get a professional picture taken of like Ryan Atkins as he's about to lap me, and then I could then post it and say like, yeah, look at me helping my teammate Ryan Atkins on Everest.
You know what? That is one of the funnest thing. Like, you can legitimately help these guys. I mean, they're going for 100 miles, 110 miles. But you know what? Sometimes they're going to want a hand up Everest or a boost over a wall or something. Especially the ladies, like they're strong, they're fast, but they still could use a boost up Liberator or a hand up. So yeah, that's one of the great things. You get to, these are like elite athletes, but you're like they're contributing to their success. It's great.
I was really impressed last year after World's Toughest Mudder when I can't remember who posted it, but there's a video that was posted on Facebook of Ryan and John doing Everest, and it was during Black Ops, and then them staying for a minute, helping like 3 or 4 people go up it as well. And I'm thinking, man, you guys could have killed 110, 115 miles, but here you are honoring the Tough Mudder aspect of helping out your fellow mudder, and I thought that was very cool.
Yeah, and you know what? They don't even think twice about it. It's just kind of part of the deal. They're happy to do it. They know it's, they're members of the community just like anybody else. They don't, they're not posting, ridiculous stuff online like everyone else is, but they're happy to help out. And it's not even a thing or a drudgery or, they're happy to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm definitely looking forward to the last one. I think it'll be really interesting to see the Atkins Albin, how that's going to play out now that they're not going to be teammates this year, and see if Ryan Atkins can hit the 125 miles. So I think TMHQ, they're definitely playing like the 125 bib and everything else like geared towards can Ryan Atkins hit this? So definitely not just as a competitor, but also as a fan, I'm curious to see how this turns out.
You know what? They've had that 125 mile bib for years. I know I saw it in 2015. I don't know if they had it before 2015, but the most miles anyone has ever had is last year. 3 guys got 105. There's a big difference between 75 and 100 miles, and there's just even a exponentially greater difference between 100 and 125. So I think to get 125, you'd have to be on a flat course like Atlanta or Chicago, and you'd have to have like favorable obstacles like no mud mile, the ability to stay out of the water a lot. Like they'd have to almost design the course thinking of how can we make it so they can hit 125. Now you still have to physically move your body 125 miles. It's never going to be easy, but you'd have to, I think, have some other things working in your favor to hit that 125. It's just such a crazy, crazy number.
And it's funny you mentioned mud mile. If Tough Mudder were to ever let me design one course and I could eliminate and add on any obstacle, Mud Mile for me is the very first obstacle I would get rid of.
Really? Why is that?
I don't know. I think it's in the evolution of, it started as mud runs, and then now we're looking at obstacle course racing as a sport. For me, for some reason, like, I'm over Mud Mile. Like, I'll do Kiss of Mud for days, but I miss, like King of Swingers. I really miss that this season right now. So, in my head, I'm like, get rid of Mud Mile and bring back King of Swingers.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, just part of the kind of the business side of it. Obstacles like Mud Mile are really cheap to build. You just dig a hole, you dig 8 trenches, and boom, there's your obstacle. Devil's Beard is really cheap to build. And when you look at a list, and you look at a map, and it says 20 obstacles, well, you can't have. They just won't. King of Swingers and Augustus Gloop, you're not going to have 20 of those obstacles. There's going to be some like quagmire that are cheap to make. So. Yeah, no, you're right. King of Swingers is a great. It's right after Block This Monster. I think it's the best obstacle they have or had. So no, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. I think for individual achievement, King of Swingers, just because of the whole aspect of can I even make it, to the handlebar, and then can I stay on, and then can I hit the bell? That, and then to me, Funky Monkey, the Revolution, doing that for the first time at the Arizona Tough Mudder this year. I've never left an obstacle film so achieved as a person.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. When you make your 25 miles at a Toughest Mudder, or you get I haven't hit 50 miles yet at Worlds, but like when you have that crazy difficult goal, finishing Funky Monkey, getting across Kong, and you get it, man, there is nothing. That is a high you cannot replicate. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, agreed. Kong was the same thing when I did it in Arizona back in April. I have always struggled at doing rings. I'm a former fat kid. I lost 75 pounds getting ready for my first Tough Mudder in 2013. And even in 2013, they had a rings obstacle that was over water, and I could never do it at any type of obstacle course race, but dominated it in Arizona this year, and that was another big high.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, John, any last thoughts on World's Toughest Mudder this year?
Like I said, I'm very excited to compete, very excited to meet a lot of the people from the community that I've been talking with and helping me to get ready. Like I said, excited for my wife to either cheer me on or to help collect my life insurance. So either way, she's going to win. And then I'm really excited to see how the elites turn out. I think it'd be really cool for storyline purpose to see, Ryan Atkins and Lindsey Webster to both take it, and especially with the year that Lindsey's had dominated all the other world championship races as well. But I can't wait to meet everyone, and can't wait to be there to support everybody.
Awesome. Well, I'll see you in a few days, man. Hello, this is Will.
Hey, Will, it's Haley.
Hey, Haley, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
So good. Are you ready for this weekend?
I was ready to get. It's been a crazy season, and I'll be happy to actually be there and be running the race probably more than anything else.
just to have the anticipation over.
Well, no, things in my life have been ultra uber crazy lately, and being in the zone of just trudging along for 24 hours seems like a much better place than dealing with all the craziness.
Take a break from life for 24 hours.
Exactly. That I can handle. It'll be this little microcosm of fun and friends and good stuff like that.
It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Haley, how many times have you run World's Toughest before?
This will be my third.
That's nice. What was your best year?
Last year for sure, and I had hoped desperately not desperately, but I had really hoped that I was going to be able to continue my improvement and get a silver bib this year. But 2017 has not been really a great training year. So if I hit the same 60 I did last year, I'll be extra excited.
60's nothing to be ashamed of, especially this year the weather's not going to look as nice as last year probably. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, that's the thing is, I mean, I'd be perfectly happy at this point with 50. If I get 55, great. If I get the same 60 I got last year, like, hell yeah. But I'm not sure that I'm on track to do that. So we'll see. But I'm actually thinking I'm going to run with, I don't know what the process is for official teams anymore. And given all of this, like, shuffling of categories, I'm not even sure that, like, the 2-man team exists anymore. But I actually have 2 other guys that I'm considering running with as an official team. Originally, I was going to like throw support towards the team category just to make sure they had more numbers in that category, not to like give it up. Now that all of the team people have sort of switched over to the relay, I'm kind of like, well, but I think the 3 of us are well enough aligned that we can probably go ahead and go for the team thing, especially since I'm not trying to kill myself through a silver.
Yeah. So you're looking to get in the 2+ team category.
That's right.
That's cool. There's not a lot. I know of 2 teams specifically that are looking to run in there and to win that category. But I think you're right. Most of the people are,
yeah.
I think most of the people
you got Evan and Wesley and Joel and Nicholas, and they're the only 2 left.
Yeah, as far as I'm there's got to be more than just those 4 guys, but those are the 2 I know about.
Well, there might be Team T-Rex. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think T-Rex still runs as a team officially, and yeah, other than that, I don't know. So it kind of like bums me out. I mean, like, I don't mind. I would be 4th place team, and I don't know that all of like the Germans and some of the other foreign nationals that have come and done team before, if they've all switched over to the relay, that kind of thing, but.
I know there are.
I mean, it's going to be.
There's 2 German teams. I don't see any Australian teams, but I can tell you. Here's we go. We got Canada, 2 Canada teams, 2 German teams, 1 team DK. I don't know what that means. DE is Germany. DK, I'm not sure what that country is. Ireland has a team.
Denmark.
There you go. So 2 teams from Denmark then. Oh, no, 1 team from Denmark, 2 teams from Germany. 1 team from Ireland, 1 team from the UK, and then 7 teams from the US. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 national teams right now is what it looks like.
Right, and that's for the relay. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know how many of those people have competed previously as teams or just signed up because they were interested in doing the relay thing.
Right. Yeah. I know in 2015, they kind of toyed with the idea of doing the relay thing, and the German team came over, like they signed up based on that relay idea. I talked to them afterwards. But then Tough Mudder changed it to, kind of the standard, the 4-man, it was a 4-man team plus then. And so they had 2 3-man teams they were going to send over. So they ended up sending 1 6-man team. And they got like 2nd place, I think 2nd place overall in 2015.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Well, cool.
So, yeah, I don't know. But I just figured I would try and do the team thing. 1, because I had thought about doing it next year anyway, to try and bring more people in from another group of non-community people that I know. And actually the 2 guys that I'm running with are from that community. And I thought if there would be more people that wanted to jump on from this other health club thing, we could do an actual team. And because they like to do that, like they send big events to regular Mudder, big teams to regular Mudders. Like when I did my first Mudder with them, there was 50 of us, and so like I figured now that I'm the veteran and they all look at me like, oh, you know what you're doing, we could get a bunch of us. And there was supposed to be 2 other girls this year from the health club doing it. 1 blew out her knee at the end of last season, and the other girl just kind of backed out after that. So yeah,
it's cool.
They're not coming.
You're kind of an evangelist for World's Toughest Mudder in your local community.
Yeah, it's not actually local. It's an online deal. And it's kind of cool. It was my community before I had the community. This guy who has a blog about being a single parent decided he was going to do a Tough Mudder with his brother in England. And he's in Utah. And so they figured they would do like post a sweaty selfie kind of thing so that they would show each other that they had worked out, in preparation for getting ready for the Mudder.
Right.
But, when you post a regular sweaty selfie to your page, people go, oh, you're working out, kind of thing. So they created this health club where it would be a safe space for people to like work out. So it's like the whole gamut, but mostly people at the beginning of their fitness journey. But there are some, marathoners and stuff like that. So you kind of like work your way up and then you become like, ooh, you do cool things. But once he did it with his brother, then got another team together. And I think they did the last Utah one, the very last one they had in Utah. And then in 2015, when I first did it with them, he did 3 team events. They did Arizona, Tennessee, and Chicago. And by the time they got, Chicago, Philly, I don't know. By the time they got to Philly, they had like a 90-man team.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, and they've done a couple more, but now they're kind of unofficial. It's kind of dropped off, but there's still a bunch of us who run them. And so they've also, like Todd, I basically convinced him, we ran our first one together, and I convinced him to buy a season pass as we were driving on our way to the event. I was like, no, you like, forget this single event. You got to buy a season pass. Like I hadn't done anything yet, any event. And I was like, I already have a season pass. I'm signed up for World's Toughest. Like, you got to do this with me.
Yeah, you got to it's a value thing. We're saving money by buying the season pass.
Exactly.
90 people. That's like almost an entire wave. I've never seen a group that big at one race.
Yeah. And it was one, Philly, I think, was like they were, people were off the, they were getting hypothermia. And I mean, so like half the team ended up in the med tent with like, medical blankets, the emergency blankets around them. It was really bad.
Right.
I didn't end up doing that one, but they kind of group together now and again, but that was the biggest team they ever put together. I think since then, the biggest team's been about maybe 30 or 40. They usually do Philly and Chicago, and Arizona.
Have you been watching the puzzle pieces come out for the map for this year?
I am. I'm a puzzle piece fiend. I kind of try but not like this morning. I spent like 3 hours like playing with the whole 50 states and countries thing, and had a bunch of other things I should have been doing, but it's like, ooh, distraction. I don't have to deal with life. Yeah. So
they have Tough Mudder headquarters offers puzzle pieces. They split the map into 20 or 24 pieces, and they release a little piece, it looks like a puzzle piece. But you have to, the community has to do something to earn it. And I'm not sure what the 50 states one was. I didn't see that one.
So we had to get 50 T-shirts, or 50 T-shirts, 50 states and 50 countries with swag. Like, do you have your shirt? Do you have your headband? Do you have, with Tough Mudder things? So there had to be a picture in all 50 states and in 50 different countries, like both, in order to get the puzzle piece. So like
was someone wearing a Tough Mudder T-shirt in Utah and then someone wearing a Tough Mudder headband in Brazil.
Yeah, exactly. And and so at the end we were like doing 2 things. Like we totally cannibalized some of the pictures from last year. We're like, oh, we did this challenge last year.
Oh, really?
Yes. Michael was totally taking pictures from last year. And then I was going through, what's his name? Scott Daniel had done like a cross country, trip last year, or the beginning of end of last year, beginning of this year. And so he had all these pictures of him all over the place, and he's always wearing his TM gear. And so I was like going through his road trip pictures, because he created a special page for it, and like stealing pictures from there. Like, ooh, he's with Elvis. He must be in Mississippi,
That's fun. Did they end up getting the 50 countries, 50 states puzzle piece?
Yes. Yeah. And Michael was very strict about it. Michael LeBaron, the guy who puts together the puzzle pieces, he was like, oh, no, Puerto Rico's not a country. It's not really a state, so we're not going to count it, and then some people were Photoshopping it. He wouldn't count the Photoshopped ones. I mean, and if it didn't have TM gear, he made sure that they were, legit pictures in legit locations before he counted it.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Yeah, it's kind of fun. They're going to officially release the map on, I think, November 9th, but it's kind of cool to get at least a little sneak peek of it beforehand.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it creates all kinds of chaos. Oh my God, wait, what's that object? And, they had the double, well, we're assuming it's double dipping, but an obstacle icon that you can't recognize. And you think, what's that obstacle? But
And then I saw a piece today that there's 2.58 miles of penalty for each lap.
Oh yeah, that one's fun. But then Mike Stefan was saying that it keeps increasing. You know, like every year it's gone up a half mile, and it kind of is always. At first, I remember when it went up from like 1.5 to 2, I was pretty bummed. And this year I was like, it is what it is. Like I can't really. You're going to take penalties, and you're going to end up doing extra mileage. But 2.5 is definitely, or 2.58 is a lot.
Yeah, I think if you can do the cliff and you can do the electricity, that should shave off, a big chunk of that, maybe half of that. But
exactly, it makes me happy that I am big time into the cliff. That is the reason I signed up for World's Toughest Mudder in the first place. So I love the cliff, and then also I also don't mind operation or the electricity either. So I'm very happy about that.
Why do you
hopefully shave maybe a mile?
Why do you like the cliff so much?
It's a funny thing aside from the fact that I like jumping and diving and free fall and all that good stuff, but I work for a federal government agency where we work on Colorado River issues. And so when I first saw the 30-second promo video for World's Toughest Mudder where they were jumping off the cliff, I assumed that because it was in Vegas, that it was into the Colorado River. And I thought, ooh, that's kind of cool. Colorado River, like daring things, like adventure. That's me. I have to go do it. So I was kind of disappointed when I found out it was Lake Las Vegas, but I thought, hey, I can jump off high things into the Colorado River. But I went out last year with the group cliff jumping, and I'll go again this year and, jump off the 50-foot one as many times as I can. Like I like the free fall part.
You jump off 50-foot bridges?
No, the cliff, like when we went out to the Nelson's Landing, it was like about 45, 50 feet out there, the high spot we were jumping off.
When does jumping off of a height into water become dangerous? Like, when can you really hurt yourself?
I've actually wondered that same thing because, like, they show the one guy, I don't know if you've seen some of those, like, crazy human videos, and where he jumped, like, 110 feet, or you see people, this is an 80-foot jump, and, like, they are obviously doing it, and the people in Acapulco, they dive off, I'm definitely not into the diving because that creates massive headache unless you part the water just right. But if you go feet first, like, I don't know when technique becomes absolutely essential. Like, you're going to break a leg if you don't have the right technique. Obviously, you can jump for 100 feet if you know what you're doing, but, I don't know what that magic number is.
There's an old joke that it's not the 100 feet fall. It's the last foot at the bottom that get you. Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking about that, like 35 feet, every time I jump off the cliff, like I'm jarred, like physically jarred for like 5-10 minutes, It's not bad, but it's just kind of like, whoa, you got to kind of, mentally regroup. I can't imagine doing twice that or 3 times that.
I don't know. Like I wrote on somebody's post the other day, and I really feel like the part of that obstacle for you to do is the platform jump. It doesn't matter whether that platform is 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 feet. Like, your job is to just get yourself off the platform. Mm-hmm. Gravity does the rest, and you make sure that you're in the right position.
That's a really good point. Like, especially at night, like 20 feet, it could be 50 feet. It doesn't matter. Like, it's right. Way higher than you're comfortable being. And that's a good point.
Yeah. You just have to get your body, like projectile, get it off the edge of the platform, and you're good. The rest is done for you. It's a lot easier to do that than it is to, grab a monkey bar 15 times across.
I would rather do the cliff than operation any day. Like any day of the week. I hate operation, and I don't love the cliff like you do, but man, I hate operation.
Yeah. And the first year they had it, I steered clear of it as much as I could. I only did it like once or twice, and I did the penalty almost every time. And then when they decided to bring it to the toughest, and even last year, I think, I just said, fine, I'm going to do it. And I ended up, I don't know whether it was not as bad or whatever, but I, figured out the technique, who knows. And I have never, ever taken a penalty since when they brought it back last year. So I did 3 toughest and all that. I've never done the penalty.
Oh, wow.
It just seems like, even I had not cast, but I had like a splint on my hand when I did Atlanta toughest, and I still managed to do operation.
Oh, geez. Did you get shocked in it?
No. Well, did I get shocked the last time? I think the last time I got shocked was in Whistler was when I got shocked. I don't think I got shocked. But I mean, if you just go slow and actually move the pole, and just kind of stand there and shimmy the pole in between your hands and not try and move your body a lot, it's like playing pool. It's like a billiards, cue. And you just shovel it in, shovel it out, and you're good.
We don't know if they're going to have operation again this year. There have been pictures of a different electrical obstacle, so kind of speculation at this point.
Yeah, not terribly excited about that one. I've never done electric eel, and so the idea, or dark lightning, but I mean, no, or electric eel slide or electric slide, whatever they're calling that. Like all of the multiple options other than operation kind of scared me. But someone said at one point, they're like, well, if they just put the crybaby tear gas or the, menthol gas inside the dark lightning, like, why not? Like just add one more layer of complexity. And at that point I was like, throw my hands up in the air, just do the obstacle, suck it up for the 2 minutes it takes you to get through. And it's better than a penalty at that point.
Can you describe dark lightning for someone who doesn't know what that is?
So from what I understand, dark lightning is similar to electroshock therapy, except it's a smaller enclosed space like Crybaby is or was, since we haven't seen it in a while. But you basically crawling on your hands and knees through, I guess it would be like birth canal also, or what's the dark version of birth canal? I can't remember the name that they call the enclosed version of birth canal. But so you crawl on your hands and knees through this wooden structure that's covered in black plastic, and it's got the same electroshock therapy, wires hanging down, and it looks like they've added to it with both metal and plastic chains. And you don't know which chains are plastic and which chains are metal. You just crawl through and hope not to get zapped too badly, because I think not getting zapped is not an option.
Yeah, it looks like it's like the definition of a mental obstacle, because the electricity is going to shock you, right? But then you're going to bump up against these chains, and every time you touch something, you're going to think it's electric, but you're going to be just jumping, and it's nothing. Like you bump against a plastic chain, but your body's telling you, hey, this could hurt you. So
yeah. And honestly, like I was also an anti-electroshock therapy kind of person. I was really one of those people who was like, okay, I'll once a weekend, like, multi-lap, I'll do it once a weekend. And when I went to Colorado last year and ran into Grant Polson, like he totally converted me into an EST person. He was like, no, you should just go slow and you take your time through it. And I was like, are you kidding me? And ever since then, like I've also not been averse to EST. Like, I think the slower you go and the fact that you just accept, I'm going to get shocked at some point, but you anticipating it, not in a negative way, but like saying, it's a matter of fact, I'm going to get shocked. It's much easier to walk through it and get a tiny zap than it is to be like, oh no, don't hurt me, I don't want to get zapped. And that anticipation makes it 10 times worse. So yeah, you just kind of like mentally go, all right, this is my obstacle, plow through it. I'm done. Makes life much better.
That's a real interesting point of view. That it's totally counterintuitive that the slower you go, the easier it is.
Yeah, because you're not like, flailing all over the place. There's not wires hitting you from this side. I mean, like if you walk through EST, I feel like you're going to get zapped maybe once or twice, and you're going to know that that's what happened. It's not like it scares you, because I think part of it is also the scare part, like this jolting, like when somebody comes up behind you and grabs you. Like it's not like they do anything to you, but it's just this scare factor that gets you.
That's pretty fun. Yeah, I hate the electricity so much, but that's an interesting thought. Going slow, I'll have to try it sometime.
I have actually a question for you, going back to the whole team thing.
Yeah, sure.
Like I'm not running teams, but so I was listening to, I think it was, no, it wasn't you talking to Doza, it must have been Heather talking to Doza, but like, so I've seen a couple of people talk about the relay and how they're going to do cumulative miles, but there's not anything that forces them to run 2 people at a time or, 50% at a time. They can all 4 run all 24 hours, can they not?
They absolutely can. Totally can. In fact, I think, I just listed off all those countries that have teams coming. I think probably 75 or 80% of those teams are going to plan on that, all 4 running at the same time together. But
okay, because I was like, they're going to get 400 miles,
Well, that's not how it'll count. So the first lap and the last lap, the entire team has to be together, right? So let's say, team number 1, all 4 people run the first lap. Well, they have 5 miles now. And then person 1 and 2 go back out for lap 2. Person 3 and 4 sit down. Person 1 and 2 finish their lap. Now the team has 10 miles. But person 1 and 2 have 10 miles and toward their bibs or toward their individual accomplishments. Person 3 and 4 only has 5 miles toward their bibs and toward their individual accomplishments. So at the end of the race, like if they're doing that the whole race, rotating 2 people through, they should be individually. They'll have about the same amount of miles, but the team will have, I'm sure there's a formula. Yeah, like say they do 50 miles, it'll be about because it'll be not exactly because of the first lap and last lap, but if every individual runs 50 miles, then the team should have about 100 miles.
They would have 90 at that point because there would be 2 overlapping.
Right. So I think that team category, there's 2 big teams to watch. Chad Trammell has a team, and Christopher Mendoza has a team. And I think the floor for that to win that category is going to be like 125 miles. And again, like no individual is going to run that 125 miles. They're going to run 60 or 70, but I think it's going to take 125 or 130 miles to win that. At least that to win that category.
So you think they are going to go ahead and split it up some so they can sprint faster through those laps?
I know those 2 teams are. I talked to Chris at Las Vegas, and he told me like they're running it as a relay, like 2 in, 2 out, 2 in, 2 out. So, and it's kind of controversial because it's like that's not really what World's Toughest Mudder is about. But I think people are underestimating how difficult it's going to be to have to sit there for an hour and wait for your teammates to come back in. Like you're going to get cold, you're going to start cramping up. It's not.
I was thinking it might be better if they could do it where like you had to have at least one other person with you. Like you could go out team 1 and 2, or like man 1 and 2 and man 3 and 4.
Well, they have to have at least half of the team on every lap.
Right, but I mean, like you could have them like so. I don't know, make it like there has to be a 30-minute delay or something. Like you can't, if you're not going to go out together, you got to have, but that way they could just keep racking up the miles, but then rest a little bit so that they'd all get 80 miles. But yeah. But so I don't know. I think, and the other one, somebody mentioned the guys from Canada, Glenn Race. No, that he's on the other team, but the guys from Canada, Marco Bedard, and that other team that they might give them a run for their money too.
I'm looking at the Canada team. I don't know a lot of these guys. Benjamin Bocher, Damien Langlois, Mark Bernard, I know him, and Sylvain Dion. I don't know. Mark Bernard's a stud. He could, Mark Bernard, he could, if those other 3 guys can keep up with him, they could, give him a run for their money.
Yeah, I mean, they may not be, maybe they won't be, those top 2, but they're definitely, other than the Germans, if they really decide to kill it with the relay format. Because they may have, got a lot more strategy since they've been thinking about it for a couple of years.
Yeah, and you know what? The German team is always strong, but they've never broken through and won first place. So this would be, a chance for them to do it. I kind of hope the German team does the relay thing, and we can kind of compare them all evenly and see what happens.
Right.
It's interesting that the Germans always come over as teams. Like they never. I don't know the German racers that well. I'm sure there's 1 or 2, standouts among the 8 guys that are coming over, but they've never competed against Atkins or Albin or even against Chad Trammell or Trevor Sykos. Like they've always stuck to that team format. I'm not sure why that is.
So none of those guys are toughest stars, like the actual toughest, not our toughest.
Yeah, you know what? They might. I don't follow. There's an entire race series in Europe called Toughest, not Toughest Mudder, but their own toughest thing that you're talking about. And I'm looking at the names. I don't know enough to even talk intelligently about them. So they might be, and I'm just ignorant American here. But
so is Albin secretly confirmed, kind of confirmed, still up in the air?
John Albin for this? Oh no, he's running. He's running. He's coming to win. So,
so we have official confirmation that he's coming.
Oh yeah, no, I talked to him. I don't know if it's aired yet or not, but he's absolutely coming. And so the four men to watch, Albin Atkins, Trevor Sykos, and Robert Killian are all running in the individual category, and 3 of those guys have done 105. Robert did 100 miles last year, so I really think the podium is going to be 3 of those 4 men.
I think, I don't know. I don't want to like jinx him, but I totally think that Albin's going to take it.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, like, he has had an amazing season.
He really is. He really is.
Like, I like, whether you want to call it peaking, whatever you want to call it. Like, I know that Ryan is the long haul guy, but I mean, John kept up with him for 100 miles last year, and he's fast.
He is, and he's very light. You look at Atkins, you look at guys like, well, even like Hunter McIntyre, who doesn't do the long stuff anymore, but like Atkins, he looks, I mean, he is built. There's like muscle on those bones. And Albin, you look at him and he's like a runner. He's got a runner's build. He's lean. He's light. Yeah. And so, yeah, no, you're right. Albin consistently beats Atkins at these shorter distance races, like the 8 to 10, 12-mile races. But Atkins has never lost. 4 years of World's Toughest Mudder, he's never finished lower than first place. So
yeah, there's always a time for an upset. I'm just an underdog kind of person. I like cheering for the underdog.
It's hard to look at either of them and say they're the underdog, though. Like, it's like two favorites going. Yeah, it's going to be great. I can't wait.
Yeah, and I really like Robert Killian. I was really stoked when he won the Spartan World Championship. I don't think he's had a great season, and I really don't. I mean, like, if there's anyone of those four who's not as likely, I think it's probably Killian.
What do you think about the women's elites?
I'm so excited. Like, I'm totally in camp Allison Tai. Like, I just want her to blow everybody out of the water, but that's just me. Just because I think, like, she's also had a great season and it would be great. I honestly I know that Lindsay has it in her. The 24-hour thing really, after she pulled last year, like, I'm not sure that she can keep up her stellar pace for the 24 hours.
Lindsay's had a great season too, though. I mean, she's won the two, there's three big races that matter. There's a Spartan Race World Championship, OCR World Champion, but you're right. Like, last year she was out after, 18 hours. So
yeah.
Yeah. And there's tons of strong women, Stephanie Bishop, Morgan McKay, I could list, 10 other names, 10 other strong women where any of them could win the race. Any of them. It's the women's side is wide open. But it's not because there's like no strong. It's like because there's so many strong women.
No, and I'm secretly, other than Allison, I'm rooting for Morgan and even for Chikorita, because I think that's a really cool thing that she comes up from Mexico and does that.
Yeah, I think that is too. Like, we always talk about the Canadian athletes, Ryan, Lindsay, Austin, et cetera. But yeah, she's representing Mexico well, so good for her. It'll be fun to see. This is going to be the best, race that I think they've ever had. So it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah. If you had to sit back and watch one, I suppose this is a good one to watch. So.
Well, cool. You have any last thoughts on World's Toughest Mudder?
No, I'm just super excited to see the reveal of all the new 2018 obstacles, and what kind of crazy things Tough Mudder has come up with us to challenge us this year. Because I think, like last year, Double Rainbow was a great new invention, and I'm glad I got to do it before they came up with Hang Time. I'm hoping they take Hang Time and make it into something crazy again. I like all the creativity that Tough Mudder comes up with. And curious to see at the brunch, they're going to announce where we're going next year.
Where do you think we're going to go next year?
I'm anti-Atlanta. I don't want to go to Atlanta.
Why is that?
I don't think that it has the epicness of Vegas or even Jersey. Like, I think I raced Atlanta Toughest. I like the venue. It was beautiful. It has a nice, being in the corrals, the horse stalls and stuff like that for the pit area. It was all great. Don't get me wrong. I really liked the Atlanta venue, but I just don't think there's anything epic about it. Whistler has a fantastic, it's just so much better. Obviously, I don't know that it's going to be Whistler, but I think they need something that in the venue itself that makes it, like when they just took OCR World Championship to the Nuclear Races venue in the UK, people are complaining about, it's the UK, but it's also going to be far away from hotels and lodging and more difficult to create the Olympic Village style stuff that they had at Blue Mountain. Mm-hmm. But they say the course is crazy, amazing. So, it's got to have something that makes it stand out from other venues. And I just don't know that Atlanta has that. I prefer Pittsburgh over Atlanta.
Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
That's the first I've heard that as a thought there? Why do you like?
No, I mean I prefer Pittsburgh like as a venue, not for World's Toughest, but I mean I like that venue. I really liked the Copperwood, or I can't remember the name of the campground there, but I really like that venue. But no, like I said, my assumption had been Houston. Like I thought we were going to Houston. I thought Texas.
That was the popular guess last year when we didn't know if 2017 would be Vegas. Everyone was picking Houston as a option.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, we will see at brunch.
Yeah, we'll find out. I think it'll be interesting. And if they changed up on us and have been giving us red herrings, who knows? But I'm resigned to the idea of Atlanta at this point.
That's
honestly, for 2018, I'm looking forward to the OCR World's Championship 24-hour race down under. I'm going to try and get to that one to go to the True Grit.
The enduro race in was that April, May?
June 10th and 11th.
That'd be fun.
So.
Well, cool. Well, Haley Goodstein, thanks for calling. We chatted for a while.
You bet. Yeah, I was doing paperwork, and I totally forgot that it was Monday night and time to call in.
Yeah, no worries.
But I made it into the wire.
Well, cool.
All right.
Well, I will see you this weekend in Vegas.
But yeah, excellent. Lots of hugs.
Awesome. Thanks, Haley.
Hello.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing good. Sorry I missed you on that. I just got out of class. I'm doing school full time right now.
Yeah, no worries. You're a student?
Yeah, I was in the Navy, so I'm using my GI Bill. So.
That's cool. Are you going to be there in Vegas this weekend?
I'm sorry?
Are you going to be in Vegas this weekend?
I am actually not. I'm on the East Coast out in Delaware currently with my wife. We talked about it. I was thinking actually about coming out to Pitt this year just to check it out. But just financially, we're not going to be able to make it out. So.
Yeah, it's a long trip, especially if you're not going to run. But I mean, it's still a blast. But it's not cheap. You're right.
Oh yeah, well she was the one that even mentioned it. She's been like super supportive about it, and she brought it up. I was like, really? And we started looking into it, and it's just that. And we're actually coming out to California in December for like a 2-week vacation.
That'll be fun.
So that's kind of our trip out west this year.
Yeah. What do you think about World's Toughest Mudder this year?
I think it's going to be awesome. I'm really excited about the new obstacles coming out, and then obviously the lineup of talent. It's going to be nuts for when it comes down to the finish. I don't think anyone's going to run away with it per se.
Who do you think
it's going to come right down to the last hour or something like that?
Who do you think is going to pull it out?
It's hard to go against Ryan or John Alvin, but I have to vote for Robert Killian. For some reason, I feel like he's going to become a dark horse and just do something crazy.
He ran 100 miles last year. There's no reason he couldn't. You're right.
Yeah. But, he's been kind of quiet, so that's why I kind of think maybe either he's, like, super focused about it and I know he's been doing a ton of Spartans, but I feel like maybe he just might come out of nowhere and just take it.
Yeah, I saw him in Whistler, and he was amazing. Like, I'd never seen him in racing in person before Whistler. He was in third. The guy who finished in front of him in second decided not to go out for another lap because the time was almost up. And Killian's like, I can do one more lap. So he went out there, and he was almost, I think, the last guy across the finish line before the finish line closed. Wow. And he got his second place.
He's got it.
Yeah, it was impressive.
Yeah, I actually saw him for the first time, and I'm up near northern Delaware, so I went to the Philadelphia Philly Stadium race for Spartan, and he was in the first elite heat, and that was the first time I ever seen him. I was like, it's kind of one of those moments when I saw somebody kind of famous, I guess.
Yeah. No, I've heard a lot about those stadium races. They're supposed to be fun.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely different. Actually, it's kind of funny. I did my first super this past weekend, so that was like the first thing I've done besides the stadium. And then I've done 2 toughs in the past, one a long time ago and one this previous year in Philly. So.
Well, cool, man. Well, I'm honored you listened to the podcast, even though you're not coming out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, it sucks, but we're definitely game planning for next year. I'm going to do the South and Northeast toughest next year, and then also the Philly tougher, so I can try to get that Holy Grail, obviously.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
And then I think my wife and I are going to do the half in Philly as well, so it'll be like a double kind of lap for me that day. but because we want to do that repeat offender deal.
Oh, sure. Yeah, the new thing where you run a full and run a half. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
they know we like our swag, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, because the first one I ever did was back in 2012, and then I had some issues with my right foot in the military, and then this was like my really first year back to running like hardcore since then. So,
have you been following the women's competition at all? Who do you think is going to win for the women?
Quite a bit. I do think Stephanie's going to pull it out again, but she definitely has some competition as well. But I'm pulling for Stephanie Bishop. But any of them will be great. It kind of sucks that Amelia won't be there, right? She's not competing this year, right?
Yeah. I don't know if you heard. I talked to her a few episodes ago. She's it's tough to feel bad for her.
Yeah, and then obviously Lindsay Webster and Allison Ty, I think they'll be up there pretty big. And then there's some, there's just as much talent there as the guys. So who knows? Maybe one of them will actually win it overall.
Amelia Boone almost
never know.
did.
2012,
Amelia almost beat Jun Young Pak. They both finished with 90 miles.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's going to be nuts near the finish. I don't think both sides. I don't think anybody's just going to run away with it. But, never know. 24 hours is a long time. Anything can happen.
That is a true statement. Well, Sean Myers, thanks for calling in, man. Good talking to you.
Yeah, definitely. No, thank you, man. And hopefully you have a good time out there, which I'm sure you will. And good luck on recovery, too, man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Yep, no problem. Have a good day.
Cool. Thanks, Sean.
This is Jim.
Hey, Jim. Will Hicks.
Hey, Will Hicks. What's going on?
How are you?
Andy. Just getting ready for World's Toughest Mudder. Scrambling to get 25 people merchandise, jackets, bags, hats, boats, chickens, sinks.
Is that your goat tough merchandise?
That's right. Everybody gets a kitchen sink and a rabbit, everything else.
And a chicken, you mentioned.
Just getting the stuff embroidered and just getting it out to everybody.
Who's on your goat tough team this year?
Ryan Atkins, Lindsay Webster, Trevor Psychos, Austin Azar, Chris Mendoza, and then we have Miguel Funky Go Medina, and Mark Jones, Sarah Knight, Deanna Blagg, Chikorita Delago, and a bunch of other great Go Tough athletes. There's about another 10 supporting athletes that are all running, that are all in the mix for all that stuff. So a ton of us this year. So yeah, we've got a good solid pro team, and then a great team to back it up. We've got some individuals like Darth Vader and Dan Hiscock, two adapted athletes. Oh, and Grant Paulson, the guy that was kicking ass last year, had double rainbow with just one arm. So a bunch of awesome people. I'm excited to be there. Excited to go this year.
That's quite the
lineup. It's a great event. It is. There's a ton of great people, and so I'm trying to get them all jackets. And then some of us have done the Holy Grail, so I'm having some jackets embroidered up with that logo on the back that we designed, and it's going to be a good time. There's going to be a lot of great people. I think it's going to be an awesome event and really competitive, both in the women's and men's divisions.
Hey, I want to ask you about that. But first, what's the status with Austin Azar and his team? Is he going to be on the team with Chris Mendoza?
He is, and we're literally waiting back. We've got an awesome alternate in Hunter McIntyre, who is hardly an alternate. He'd be a first choice, but we had to limit it to 4 guys, and then Hunter said if it didn't work out with Austin, if they balk on the decision to maybe they're talking about letting like 3 or 4 teams do an alternate with it, maybe from an opposing country, because of the fast decision they made at the end to make everything work, from dropping down from the 2-man teams to these national relay teams. So they may be allowing it. So we'll find out today at about noon, and then either Austin will be on there or we'll be lucky and have Hunter on there. So if not, Hunter will be pitting and doing great stuff, but if not, he's going to run. I mean, we can talk about a luxury. Like, yeah, I may run to World's Toughest Mudder, but I may pit too. Like everyone else is just focused on running it and doing it. And he's like, yeah, I'll do it if you get in a pinch. So it was pretty nice. It was pretty nice of him to have that person available. I mean, I thanked him last week at Tougher when I saw him at the start line, because I think it's pretty gracious to do that.
So what do you think about the elite field? Who's going to win the men's race?
Someone with a Goat Tough sticker on their wetsuit, I'm guessing. So that's just, I'm a little biased, but we've got probably the 3 top athletes, and I don't know who's going to stretch it out with injuries and nutrition and training and everything, but I guarantee we have the 3 top positions, 1, 2, and 3. So there's a great field there. I mean, Robert Killian's running, and he was, of course, the second place team with Chad, but now running individually. So he's in there, and there's just a ton of great guys. You know, Tyler Nash is running. He's been doing great at the 8-hour events, and he's going to be up there. So I'm telling you, like first through 8 are going to be all just rock star winner people that could have won individually at any year. The unfortunate thing is now you've got probably 2 or 3 of the best guys ever running it, so it's going to be hard to beat them. But you know, anything can happen. Like I said, with injuries and one little tweak of your ankle, we all know how that takes you out, or a pulled muscle or something. So you can't say anything's a given. But I would say we're going to do pretty well in the men's division and also in the women's division too.
Who do you think is going to win it for the women?
I think someone may come from the past and win the women's division, is what I think. So
is that code?
Me personally.
Is that code for Deanna Blegg?
I have no idea what your goat code is. I'm just saying someone from the past. But I can tell you again, though, you know, we have Chikorita, we have Lindsay, who's getting ready to stretch her legs out and kick some butt at World's Toughest Mudder. But you know, you got Stephanie Bishop there, who was a winner last year, you know, and she's going to be there and strong and running. She's been training in Colorado up here and getting her lungs all set up. And Allison Ty, God, she's always strong, so she could drop in and win it. I think you have and she kind of qualifies for, you know, a blast from the past too. Allison's been there in and out for a long time. She's a solid runner. So, and you know, there's a ton of good girls. Like I said, I'd say the same thing is true with the women's. The top 8 spots are all going to be rock star girls, you know, that could win it if something else happens. So it's really, honestly, in the 7 years now that I've been doing it, I have to tell you, this is probably the most competitive field for both the men and women's.
I totally agree. There's a handful of people on both sides who could win it, and it wouldn't be a shock either way.
It wouldn't. The top 5 people can all win it on both sides, and just over a twisted ankle, right? Or one of them, you know, getting the shits in the middle of the night, or something happening. I mean, that stuff happens. That stuff has happened at Toughest all year long. You saw top contenders like Trevor got taken out. You know, Chris got taken out over all that stuff, just getting sick in the middle of the night. Stephanie Bishop got sick in the middle of the night. I mean, all that stuff just bongs you out. So hopefully for us, hopefully Lindsay, you know, can get her legs under her and stretch it out for the whole 24 hours. She did really well last year, and then kind of took a sideline and watched the event unfold. And you know, everybody kind of has to do that. You have to figure out World's Toughest Mudder. It just doesn't happen. You know, there's something to be said for doing it that many years and watching everything happen out there, because each year is kind of individually its own race. And I'm not talking about just weather, just like the terrain, and something happens, like a groove could get rutted out in one of the downhills and somebody twists their ankle on it and not see it in the middle of the night, and you're gone. I mean, that stuff happens. It's taken out awesome runners, just the course itself. So I think people need to be cautious about the trail, you know, and not take it for granted, and run the whole entire 24 hours, you know. And I think they'll do well. I think anybody who stays in there for 24 hours and runs the whole time will definitely be one of the top finishers. But I don't know if that's going to be possible with both the terrain and who knows what happens with the weather too.
When Ryan Atkins won his first World's Toughest Mudder, he came out of nowhere. No one knew who he was, and he won it. When Stephanie Bishop won her first World's Toughest Mudder, she was kind of an unknown. But then there's guys like Trevor Sykos who, you know, it took years. He got 3rd place and 2nd place and finally got 1st place.
right, he earned his way up through the whole ranks.
Do you think it's going to be a first-time winner this year, or do you think it's going to be someone who's kind of paid their dues and kind of like Allison? Like Allison's been around, and she's had a strong year this year, and she's ready to kind of take it?
No.
Or do you think it's somebody who maybe we don't even know their name right now?
No, I don't think that's going to happen in either class. I think it's going to be someone. I think both classes are going to be someone who's won before. I think it is, or someone who was first or second before. I don't think anybody's going to come out of nowhere and show up. All these girls are pretty established, as well as the men, and these people have been around a long time, and they've all been running the toughest. And I think if we would have seen someone, they would have popped into one of the toughest events and shown their head then, and that didn't happen. So I think the players are all scripted. They're all in place. So it's just looking and seeing how it's going to play out and how the course is going to lay out and what the obstacles look like. I know Tough Mudder's going to throw some new stuff at us that was in the innovation lab, and it's going to be, it may be a little more brutal on the body this year than it has in years past, but we all know how the trail is going to be, from running it for 3 years.
Are there any obstacle like secrets you can leak or any hints you can drop from that innovation lab?
I think you may see some stuff that probably people have seen in the OCR World Championships before. I think there's going to be maybe one added upper body one, and I think there's going to be one added that may be really fun for all of us, and actually it'll be enjoyable to do. I know one that was at the Las Vegas Tough Mudder that I think they're going to have is like a rope swing across a ditch, which was not as easy as it looked. So a lot of people were failing it, and they'll probably have a good little penalty loop on that. I know trying to grab a rope from a jump after you've been running around 6 or 8 hours is not going to be easy for anyone, and you don't even have to climb it. It literally is just grabbing it and swinging across. So hopefully they'll throw some knots in it maybe or something to help us out a little bit. But I would guess that one's going to be in there.
That's the rope-a-dope obstacle. Yeah, they dug a trench to put it in there, a deep trench, and I think you're right.
They did. It's like a 12-foot deep trench. It's not like a little... Everyone disappears when they fall in it, so it's got to be over 6 feet.
Yeah, it looks like...
I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's narrow. It's only like 10 feet across, but it's like 12 feet deep. So,
exactly.
You know what, Jim? You know what's going to happen on that obstacle is... You're right. Like the first people to get there, you have to jump. You have to jump like 4 feet, grab a rope, and just swing across another 4 feet to the other side. But once you get across, if you throw that rope back to the person behind you, it'll be way easier for them to get. I think it's what's going to happen. Kind of like the rappelling obstacle. What's that called? Where you throw.
Well, but here's the catch to it though that you didn't know is what they have on the bottom of each one of those ropes is like 20 pounds of chain to keep it dead center between that little trench there.
Really?
So it won't go back. And they had that on at the innovation lab, and they it looks like they left it on because if you notice, the guys that were swinging back and forth, it was even hurting their momentum back and forth.
Huh. That's
so
interesting.
that's what's going on with that. Yeah, no, they got like 10 feet of chain or something to keep it from rolling back and forth. So yeah, that's going to be tricky because I thought the same thing, buddy, just like they used to do with the weighted thing, you help the next guy out or whatever. But, if the guy barely gets across and then goes to throw the rope and it just goes right back to center because it's got that weight on the bottom of it. Huh. I think that was also the problem with it, why people weren't jousting themselves right across easily either, because I think that weight at the bottom even gives you a little drag when you're doing it. So you got to be spot on to hit that obstacle. And like I said, 4 hours in, can you imagine grabbing that rope, wet or slimy, depends on where it is in the mix of the obstacles. Maybe they do something that's real muddy before it, and then you have to do that, and then because you don't know how the 5 miles is going to lay out compared to how it was on the 10-mile loop there. So you never know. The obstacle placement on World's Toughest Mudder is paramount compared to everything else. It doesn't even matter if something's hard, but they get one thing out of loop, and it makes everything a nightmare. Just like they had. God, what was the one everybody was failing on where they were climbing up it in 2015 and everyone was failing it and it looked like it was going to be a wash? Well, they came back in and had us go through it backwards and drop out of the tube instead of climb up the tube. What was that one?
Yeah, you know what? It wasn't... It was called something like Upper Decker or something like that.
Upper Decker. That's exactly what it was, yes. And after the first 2 times through, people were failing it and DNFing. So, they cheers to Tough Mudder for going back in and reconfiguring it, because I got to tell you, man, the second time I went up it, I'm thinking I'm not getting up that thing again. And it was a must complete obstacle. People were literally just walking. I saw like a line of people walking away from it the first two laps because they just couldn't do it. And it was deathly cold that year too. So
it was basically Shawshanked, but backwards. Like instead of in Shawshank,
in reverse, right, with
go
the
up
rope
the pipe.
on it. Yeah.
But yeah, so you jump into the water, and then there's ropes going up, and they even had rings, like large metal rings, to put your feet in,
right.
to get up to the tubes.
They had a 2x4 screwed to the top, and then the rope hung down so you could, questionably climb it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here, everybody's legs are on it. They're wet. They're slimy. They're cold. People were literally following other people and taking them out.
Yeah.
Because they were knocking them into the water. I mean, that's where everyone came to know Hayden Chavez, because he stayed in there and helped like 20 people up to the point where he got hypothermia and DQ'd himself. But, God bless him. That's what Tough Mudder is all about. He just made sure X amount of people got up that thing. And there's even some famous picture of him lifting someone up. And it's the guy made his mark right there at the World's Toughest Mudder in Upper Decker. Boom. That's how it happens.
Yeah, another reason that obstacle was so hard was because it was right at the when it started getting dark and started getting cold, and a lot of people didn't have their wetsuits on yet, and they underestimated the cold. Exactly. And once you start you're in the water, trying to get out of the water, shivering. Yeah, that was a tough obstacle.
No, it is. That's exactly what happened, and it did. I guarantee it took over 100 people out while I was there. So it was crazy hard.
Jim, what do you do the last few days before World's Toughest? I mean, you can't train anymore. What do you do to get ready?
I do a little. For me, I have to keep blood in my hip so it keeps lubricated and stuff. But I think it's good form for everyone just to kind of stay in the same kind of pattern that you've been in. You don't want to do the regular normal weights. Like I work out twice a day. So I go in once in the morning and ride the bicycle even for 15 minutes just to get the blood in my vein, in my body and joints. And then at night I go work out, but it's all with super lightweight, and it's just to keep everything loose. I almost kind of stretch. I was doing it this morning. I would literally do a squat, but then just stay real low and stretch my hip flexors and knee joints and everything else. And it'll be the same tonight when I do any kind of bench or pull. I'll pull it down and kind of hold it, or leave it all the way extended and just stretch my back and my arms. You just want to keep your body from just locking up, because it's been exercising for so long. You don't want to just stop it to 3 days before. The other thing I start doing now is I sleep a lot more than I would, because you can forget about sleeping Friday night and maybe even Thursday night. So I'm getting like 8-12 hours of sleep, which I never get. I normally get like 5 or 6. And I'm just drinking tons of water. I'm eating a little bit more, but it's a slow progressive carb load rather than, gorging yourself with pasta and stuff, the night before. So like I've been eating pancakes in the morning, and I never eat pancakes. I even actually eat a couple dry pancakes at night when I eat my egg whites. So it's just little things like that. You want to slowly progress up to everything instead of just drowning yourself in water and Pedialyte the night before. You want to get everything so it's lubed and ready to go, because God forbid like something happens and you do eat wrong or something, you've got all those calories in there already and you're hydrated already. You don't want to be caught off guard. But to me, I think the biggest thing for everybody, if I had to tell them to do one thing 3 days before or start, it's sleep. Because you're going to be up all night. You're not going to be prepared for that. Even if you are prepared for that, you want to have all your ducks in a row. You want to be sharp, attentive. The last thing you want to do is, some of us will get to where we have to stay up late on Friday with the dinner or friends, all those get to talking, and it's hard to get to sleep and the excitement. You don't want to try to catch all your sleep that night and then scramble when you get up early in the morning to try to register and everything else. It's not worth the hassle. It's not worth the brain tease. So yeah, I just get a lot of sleep. Like this morning, I went to bed last night at 7:00 and I got up this morning at 7:00. So yeah, 12 hours of sleep. So now's the time to start loading everything in.
You have run every World's Toughest Mudder. This will be your 7th year. What's some advice for a first-time runner?
Don't go out too fast, and don't get your hopes up about any kind of. I remember being interviewed before the first one, and everybody there was saying, "Yeah, I'm going to get 50 miles. I'm probably going to get 75," and none of us had even ever done the event, and people were still saying that. It's funny. It kind of is reminiscent of today, And I would say, have a generic goal, but your goal should be, I'm going to be out there for 24 hours and see how the first couple laps goes. Gauge those. Gauge how your body's feeling, and then go from that. Because even the top guys, even the guys that have done it all the time, still do that. Like they have a pace, but like the first couple laps sets, you're never going to be faster than the first couple laps. You're not going to get faster as you go through the event. You're only going to get slower. So see what goes on those first couple laps there. Your legs feel, if they're cramping, if they're not, because it's a long haul. Like it's not like a tougher. It's not like a toughest. It's 3 times the length of a toughest. So people that have gone through a toughest and gotten 25 or 30 miles, you're not going to get 75 miles of World's Toughest Mudder. It's just not going to happen. So go out there and have fun. Enjoy the event. I wish I would have enjoyed my very first World's Toughest Mudder more, but I was so stressed about keeping going and not freezing to death and everything else that I kind of let it. I'm really sad that I didn't embrace more of it. I took a bunch of pictures through the night, which I'm glad I have now because I can post them on Facebook, but I really didn't. I met one guy on the last lap in 2011, and I finally got into the groove of enjoying it because it took me and him to get through all of the obstacles. Some of the volunteers were even gone. It was so cold they just left the obstacle, and we're like, "What do we do?" And let's just do it. All right, well, you do it first. And I remember stopping in the middle of the night. There was one that had this really heavy bark, and you had to go uphill underneath some barbed wire. And I remember both of us just stopping and laying in that bark because no one was around. We never saw anyone the whole lap. For 8 miles, never saw a person, even volunteers we wouldn't see. And we just laid there and we looked up at the stars, and we just, for the first time all night, we're like, God, this is cool. It was almost surreal though, because no one was out there. No one was watching the obstacle. We still did the obstacle, and it just had a great time. So I would say embrace all of it, enjoy it, but plan on being out there 24 hours if you want to be successful.
Someone told me that the race doesn't begin until midnight.
I honestly think that for the elite contenders, it doesn't. And it also doesn't for the people that are below. You don't know what you're capable of until it hits midnight. When you hit midnight and you still have a little left, you're going to make it. But the problem is a lot of people hit midnight. It gets cold. There's less people out there. Some of the obstacles you're failing all the time, so you're going a lot more miles. And that was my whole pretense to telling people, start off a little slower because it's not like anything you've done before. You've got to keep going after that. You've got to make it from, midnight to 6 if you're going to do the 24 hours. That, I think, in the whole time of the event is when most people drop out.
How do you get through that midnight to 6, the dark middle of the night?
I'll tell you what, it's hard to do it alone. I've done it alone a couple of years, and then I've done it with friends. I met Keith Allen that way. I met him in the middle of the night, and we walked and he slowed down to walk with me, but we walked probably the majority of one of the loops, and that gave me kind of just a zest to keep going, that camaraderie. That's where it really comes in, but it's really hard to do by yourself. Like those elite guys that are running by themselves, they feed off all the positivity of everybody. And so, they're nice enough. I know Ryan says hi to everybody when he passes them and tells everybody to keep going. Those elite guys, when they run past you, man, give them all the love you can. They're out there killing it for 24 hours. They're not stopping. So, they can use it just like we can use it. So that's what I would recommend. Try to find somebody to get you going through those later hours. And then if you can stay with them, that's fine. And if not, share the love more in those pre-dawn hours than even before when it's light.
Those elites, we think we see what they do and we're like, oh, in awe of them. But they're just regular people. They like a high five. They like encouragement. They like a nice job, just like anybody else does.
No. You know what? They're not beyond any kind of gratitude from all of us too. And kudos to them. Those guys do it. And you're right. We've kind of become complacent. Oh, they're elite. They're going to run 100 miles. That's a big fucking deal. It is. It's still a big deal. these people that are hitting 50 miles, just imagine running that fast or twice as fast through the night. I mean, it's a huge deal. They've trained a long time. Most of them, this is their life. This is what they do. So, yeah, they absolutely need our encouragement, and they appreciate every bit of it. So great to them. And I don't care if they're in first or they're in, 20th place. They're still out there, and they still need the love. And be sure and let them guide, because they are riding for a title and money. So help them out any way you can. I make sure when I see them, because this is kind of my part of the event, but when I see those guys, I'll actually, that you don't catch me running too often, but I'll actually run and follow them to the next obstacle and lift all of them over it. Like, I'm plenty strong when it comes to obstacles. So I see them and I make sure I get them over, and then I tell them to go on. And it's really a fight, because they want to stay there and help, but it's nice to get them over and feel like you're a part of their race, and they appreciate it too.
Well, Jim Campbell, any last thoughts on World's Toughest Mudder?
That's it, man. I'm exciting. I honestly think I've been touting it as this, but I think this may be the best World's Toughest Mudder ever.
Special thank you to all of my guests this episode. Well done. Thank you for calling and supporting the show. I really, really appreciate it. That was fun. What did you guys think? Should we do that again? What should we do differently? Let me know, willhicks@gmail.com, or leave us a review on iTunes. You can leave a review on iTunes through your phone on the Purple Podcast app. Did I mention we're 7 reviews away from being the #1 reviewed OCR podcast on all of iTunes? Because we are. Stay safe out there. I will see you in a few days.